Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Tuesday, predictably, President Trump is taking heat because his meeting with Putin did not lead to concrete progress on Ukraine. The ideological crazies have no blanket idea how difficult ending this war will be. And to be fair, Mr. Trump has underestimated Putin's evil. Bad Vlad likes to inflict pain and suffering. He enjoys that. At this point, the civilized world wants Putin to stop the fighting in Ukraine. So the dictator holds the power card. It's not equal footing with Mr. Trump. Putin is on top because only he can stop the madness. If the USA and Europe decide to wage economic warfare on Russia, the scenario changes. But aggressive action against a psychopath can be dangerous. Finally, if Kamala Harris had been elected, none of this would be happening. She would have continued the Biden policy of pumping $200 billion into Ukraine and then standing on the sidelines. Putin would not even return Biden's calls. Can you even picture Kamala Harris negotiating face-to-face with evil Vlad Putin? Can you? I'm sorry, I don't want to be unfair, but I can't. And I don't think she would put herself through that. Back after this. Can't get the meds you want? You're not crazy. The system is. Insurance companies block access. Pharmacies say no, and you pay the price. That is why I recommend All Family Pharmacy, a family-owned business that believes in medical freedom. They give you access to more than 200 trusted meds like ivermectin, antibiotics, and even your daily prescriptions. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Coffee? Check. Partisan hack talking points? Nope, not here. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
We told you about that special committee that the Missouri legislature put together about reducing taxes, possibly reducing or eliminating things like property taxes or reforming income taxes. Well, they're doing a hearing in the St. Louis area this week. Matter of fact, they're going to do it tomorrow. And a little bit later on today, 8:35, Dennis Ganal from our friends at Mo Tax Relief Now. He's going to be with us to outline what they're going to do and how you can be involved to make your voice heard if you're ready to get state and maybe even local governments off of our backs when it comes to how much they're charging in taxes. Well, taxes were part of what we talked to Mike Elam about on Monday's program. Mike Elam, of course, county councilman in St. Charles County, running for county executive. And we did ask him about the property tax issue, which is towards the end of the discussion you're about to hear, but also just got his overall vision for how he hopes to lead St. Charles County if he's elected.
Let me start with one of the big issues regarding growth, because we talk about, there's a lot of housing differences of opinion out there, but business differences of opinion as well. This data center that is being proposed, a lot of strong opinions on both sides. I know that there is a vote tomorrow. I don't know if it is the final vote on this. What is it that's being proposed? Why does it matter so much? And what's your opinion on what should happen with it?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to join you guys. It's always nice to get the chance to talk to Mike Ferguson, so I appreciate that. This data centers as a whole, I don't think are bad things. We actually have 5 data centers that I know of in St. Charles County right now. The one that most people will probably know about, but they don't think of it as a data center, is the MasterCard facility that's out here in O'Fallon. I don't know if people realize, but every time that you swipe a MasterCard, that financial transaction actually gets processed at the data center right here in O'Fallon in Winghaven. So that's located in our county. So data centers as a whole, I don't think are bad. That being said, I don't think you could have done a worse job of proposing a data center in a community than what Cumulus has done in the project that they have put forth in St. Charles City. Man, they just started off on the wrong foot, and they just continued to double down on that. So the city council is going to be voting on that, like you said, tomorrow night, and that will be the final vote of what's going to happen. I don't see this passing. I don't see any way that it's going to happen. Planning and zoning voted it down. So what that means is they have to have 7 of the 10 city council members vote to override planning and zoning. And I can't imagine that is going to happen. When this data center came in, they had been very secret about who this data center is for. So you don't even know who's driving the bus on that. That starts off as the number one question that people are wondering about. But because of that, and I understand from a business perspective, they don't want their competitors to know what they're doing. I get that. So they asked the mayor and the city council members to all sign NDAs. Well, that really tied their hands as to what they could say publicly about this data center. And they really left it at that point to the Cumulus group who's driving the bus to be able to say, okay, here's the questions that you have, and here are the answers that you're looking for. And they really haven't answered those questions at all. So I don't see this passing. I'm curious if once it goes down, are they going to come back with a different proposal? I don't know. We'll see what happens. A lot of times when we vote down housing developments, in many cases, we see the developer come back with better opportunities than what their initial foray was. So that may be something that happens here that's going to be interesting to see.
And obviously, like you said, this is going to be a city decision here. What's the right way if you're with you obviously on the county council, but if you're the executive, what's the best way to partner with cities on things like this? Because that affects a lot more than just the city of St. Charles.
Well, I think you've seen that happen with county executive development and with St. Charles County Council. I think you've seen that happen throughout the time that Steve has been the county executive and the 12 years that I've been on the council. You've got to work with your cities to find out what's the best overall way to move forward for the county. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Page Extension got done all the way out to Lake St. Louis and Highway 40. We did a partnership with all of the cities of St. Charles County. They put back in their federal funding because they saw the greater good and what that was going to do for the county. So we were able to put together our cost share of the $118 million it took to do phase 3 of the Page Extension. So you've got to work together to make sure that you're getting things done for the greater good. And I think the St. Charles City council members, hats off to them. Especially Councilman Justin Faust, Councilman Mark Hollander. They have done a great job of inviting public comment, and they've done open houses. They've done town halls. They've been as transparent as they possibly can under the circumstances to say, how do you feel about this? And I think they've done a great job of trying to be as transparent as they can and trying to make this decision.
Good morning, Gabe Phifer here. So Mike mentioned it early on about the growth is coming to St. Charles, and I think this issue over data center is kind of one among many. I don't want to say fights, but many conversations that are going to be coming through the council, right? So what's your kind of vision of this? What is the abiding idea behind how the growth should be happening in the St. Charles area?
Well, hey, Gabe.
Hey.
I appreciate the question. Growth isn't coming. Growth is here, man.
Yeah, right.
I mean, St. Charles County has been the fastest growing county in the state of Missouri for over 20 years. And that hasn't slowed down. I mean, just last year, we added 6,000 people to St. Charles County. And people are coming here, quite frankly, because it is the best place to live in the state of Missouri. And it's one of the best places to live in the United States of America. I mean, we had 3 national publications last year that named St. Charles County as the best place to live in Missouri. And they ranked us in the top 50 best counties in the United States of Missouri. O'Fallon was number 1, St. Peter's number 2, St. Charles number 3 as the best cities to live in the state of Missouri. So this growth that we've seen is going to change over the next 10 to 20 years. The way St. Charles really grew over the last 25 years or so is you had a lot of farmers who the parents were going to retire, the grandparents were going to retire. They wanted to hand the farm off to the kids, and the kids said, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to do that. Or the grandparents passed away and the kids got the farm and they said, yeah, I don't want to farm. So they sold all that acreage to developers and then they put 400 homes on it, right? That's not going to happen anymore. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're not making new land. That pretty much stopped, I think, day 6. I don't think God created it anymore. So we're out. Right. So no new land is coming. And that really is getting us to the point of how are we going to grow from here? And I think you've got a number of areas in the western part of the county that's going to grow. The new mayor of Forestell is a guy who I really appreciate because he walked into that job knowing that he is the next growth area. It went St. Peter's to O'Fallon and then to Wentzville. Wentzville's still blowing up, but Forestell is going to be that next area. And that's why you're seeing all of these overpasses that are getting redone. I mean, I-70 being expanded to 3 lanes each way with the nearly $3 billion the legislature approved is going to run more traffic through our county. The big meat processing plant that just got approved over in Warren County is adding a lot of development on the western side. So we're starting to see that part of growth happening on the western side, but we've really got to find what's the balance between that municipal and rural. And St. Charles County is very unique in that we are never going to be St. Louis County. For one reason, 43% of our county is floodplain. So you just can't develop in the floodplain. Despite the fact that people try to bring in land and build it up, there's only so much that you can do that for. So I think what we're doing is trying to find that balance. And I think we're finding it for the most part. You saw some developments that they tried to do in the northern part of the county that we said, no, that's just too dense for that region. So you're seeing that when a development started happening in the south part of the county, we pushed back on that development. They went from 556 homes down to 120. We said, okay, so that is setting a border. We went from 1/4 acre lots to 3 acre lots in that development. So now it gives us an opportunity to really set the boundaries, if you will, of where we are going to be 3 acres and where we're going to be more municipal developments. And I think those are the discussions that we're going to be seeing over the next few years.
Okay, just got a minute or so left. We're visiting with Mike Elam, St. Charles County Councilman, who's running for county executive right now.
Sorry, man. I guess those answers were too long.
No. I want the in-depth answers, but it just means we got to have you back on to ask you the other questions. But I do want to ask about...
I love that idea.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the property tax issue. Obviously, tax burden around the state. Everybody's talking about it. There's going to be a hearing in St. Louis County this week regarding property taxes in particular. What is the right approach if there's any reform that needs to be made? Obviously, I know what, if you listen to the show, you know what I think about property taxes. But when you look at the property taxes and the collection of taxes people are paying right now, what should change, if anything, particularly in St. Charles County?
Well, in St. Charles County, we only make up 2.5% of the total property tax bill that you have in our county. And real estate taxes, by the way, St. Charles County government is 0. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So if you live in St. Charles County, you pull out your real estate tax bill that you paid in 2024, it shows you by political subdivision where that money went. So let's say you spent $5,000 on real estate taxes in 2024. When you look at that bill, the top line shows you what you paid to St. Charles County government, and it's zero. And now I appreciate new ideas, but new math, not so much. It's tough to get below zero. I think we can agree on that. And we only make up 2.5% of your personal property tax. And that's all that we have authority over getting rid of. So your schools, your fire district, ambulance, all of those folks, they have the power over their own personal property tax. So if that's going to get overruled, it's going to have to be done at a state level. County does not have that ability. All we have is emergency dispatch, think 911, communication systems, and road and bridge. So that's the money that we use to pay for the Page extension. Those are the only two funds that we get personal property tax from. And again, it only makes up 2.5%. So I know it's a topic that certain candidates love to bang on, and they think that we need to get rid of personal property tax. Man, I want to get rid of every tax that I can. But I also want to make sure that we have the money to do the things the public expects of us. There's a difference between just yelling, let's get rid of taxes, and then saying, okay, let's be good stewards of the money that our residents give us. And I think you saw it with the capital tax approval last year. That's a tax that's been in place for a long time. The residents have to go back every 10 years and reapprove that, and they have to approve the road and bridge tax. We got 73% approval on the road and bridge tax the last time it went, and the capital tax got a 66% approval by the voters. So I think it's more about showing the residents that you're good stewards of their money rather than just scream, let's get rid of every tax. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to pay for cops. You got to pay for roads. You got to pay for infrastructure. You've got to be an adult in the conversation, and you've got to be responsible with the money that people give you.
All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on that. You can also send me a note on social media and let me know what you think about what you just heard from Mike Elam. By the way, tomorrow, Jason Law, also running for St. Louis County Executive. He's going to be on the program. And Bill Eigel, the other candidate in that race, going to be with us sooner rather than later. Bill's been on the show a lot, but we're going to get him back on pretty quick here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, for the third time in 6 years, a governor is going to pick Missouri's attorney general.
We're a very popular state.
We're like a fast track to Washington, D.C. on the Missouri side of things here. All right. We'll get into that here in just a minute. By the way, that's I'm going to put the question out there. Now, the governor's already picked who the next attorney general is going to be. So clearly this has been in the works for just a little bit. But my question is, who do you want to see as Missouri's next attorney general?
Oh,
yeah, because there are some names floating around. The rumor mill keeps coming back to one person, but regardless of who the governor has picked, past tense, who do you want that announcement to be, which is going to happen at 10 o'clock, which I'm pretty sure they're going to live stream it at mo.gov, so you can watch it there if you want to do that. It is 5:52 right now. Andrew Bailey is out as Missouri's attorney general. He's going to be resigning in the next about 3 weeks because President Trump wants him in the Trump administration. Pretty high level position, too.
So we're not going to get Sheriff Montgomery's dice after all.
Oh, we're not? No. Darn. No. Oh, man. Okay. All right. So here's what's going on. I've got more details for you at 6:04 in the news dump, and then we're going to really start digging into this at 6:20. And I'm hoping some of y'all have some suggestions for the next attorney general on here. But the president, and you may have seen this on social media already, the attorney general's already confirmed it, is that he is creating a job for Andrew Bailey. Is essentially what's happening. So you've got the attorney general runs the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi. You've got Kash Patel picked to be the director of the FBI, as you know, Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI. Andrew Bailey is going to be aside on, right there with Dan Bongino as co-deputy director of the FBI.
So this is a created position.
They have created a position out of whole cloth just to get Andrew Bailey into Washington, D.C., which to me raises a lot of interesting questions as to what's going on with Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
He has expressed dismay. He has expressed frustration that even the president has acknowledged that Bongino's been frustrated. It has to do apparently with the Epstein files and the Trump administration's participation in the cover-up of those. And so I don't know if this means that Andrew Bailey is going to be there to add additional duties, to take on additional duties that aren't being done right now because they need more people, or whether or not there's a replacement in the works. I don't know. And nobody really knows. But we do know that this has apparently been in the works for a little bit because this is a major, major change. Andrew Bailey's last day on the job in Jefferson City is going to be September 8th. And so we've got a little bit of time for a transition to happen, but we're going to know later this morning, who the next attorney general is going to be. But you look at that, you look at that fast track, you've got Josh Hawley elected attorney general. And then he's, elected to the U.S. Senate. Eric Schmidt is appointed to take his spot. Then he's elected, and then he's elected to the U.S. Senate. And then Andrew Bailey is appointed, and then he's elected. And now he's being taken to Washington, D.C. as well. Even Andrew Bailey's primary opponent, Will Scharf, is in the Trump administration at a high level. So for whatever reason, Donald Trump apparently really likes Missouri Republicans.
Hey, I mean, we're the show me state for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, again, showing my ignorance of how elections work. So he's going to resign and then be put into the federal position.
Correct.
Are we going to have just no AG until the primaries then, or do we?
The governor will be appointing somebody to fill that role.
Okay.
And so that's who we're going to find out who that is at, it's scheduled to be at 10 o'clock today. So we're going to find out. The rumor mill is pretty hot and heavy. And there's one name that keeps coming up. I don't know if it's true or not. We're going to find out, in 4 hours and 5 minutes or so. But more details coming for you in the news up here in just a few minutes. We mentioned yesterday that Sarah Russell had her disciplinary hearing. Now, we don't have any reports on how that went. That's all behind closed doors and personnel and all that kind of stuff. But the city commission, they hired a law firm to basically do a massive audit of the emergency management agency, the city's emergency management agency. And they issued their 80-page report yesterday. And essentially the bottom line, and we'll get into more detail on this probably in the 7 o'clock hour, is that the failures didn't just happen on May 16th. There were failures leading all the way up to that. Basically, the report says it was preventable. It was a lack of communication. It was a lack of leadership, and that Sarah Russell is taking no personal responsibility for her decisions that led to an entire city not being warned by the sirens.
I don't want to sound like I'm making a defense, but if there was not a good level of training and clear understanding that you need to be here to press this button and this, even though the rest of us should have known that by now, I can understand how that might be an argument if somebody's just trying to find a cop out.
But it's her job to make sure everybody knew that.
That is,
and then it turns out is that there are protocols required by law after a tornado strikes and an emergency happens that weren't done.
So
multiple.
So absolutely no excuses.
None.
What I'm hearing.
None whatsoever. And it's basically worse than we thought it was at the beginning. So we don't know what's going to happen with Sarah Russell. There is absolutely zero excuse for the city to keep her on the payroll at all. She should be done in any sort of emergency management or public service career whatsoever. I mean, at this point, maybe somebody can hire her to stack boxes in a warehouse or something, but she should not be responsible for anybody's safety.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Hungry for something different? Come taste the Chicago tradition at Nancy's Pizza in O'Fallon, Missouri. Family and veteran-owned Nancy's brings you authentic Chicago-style stuffed crust pizza, hot, cheesy, and piled high. Craving a crunch? Try our crispy tavern-style pizza. Plus, we even have delicious gluten-free crusts. Try our mouth-watering selection of pastas, sandwiches, salads, and appetizers. And don't forget to join our loyalty program for tasty rewards. Carry out and delivery only. 2007 Highway K in O'Fallon and nancyspizza.com. Use code NEWSTALK to receive a free 6-piece breadstick.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You know, you have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. European leaders tell President Trump they want a Ukraine ceasefire. They're also welcoming U.S.-backed security guarantees for Ukraine once the shooting stops.
During high-level White House talks with NATO and European leaders, President Trump said ending the Russia-Ukraine war is within reach.
This is something that's very attainable.
Ukrainian President Zelensky welcomed a meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin, while German Chancellor Merz emphasized quickly halting the violence.
To be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire.
And the NATO secretary said Europe views U.S. support for Ukrainian security guarantees as a breakthrough. Greg Clugston, the White House.
The 3-day strike by Air Canada flight attendants may be ending. The flight attendants union says a tentative contract agreement has been reached. The walkout upending the plans of thousands of air travelers in North America. Thundering waves and dangerous rip currents being seen along the East Coast this morning, a result of Hurricane Erin. The Cat 3 storm expected to stay well offshore, but it is producing dangerous conditions in the waters. On North Carolina's Outer Banks, evacuation orders issued for Hatteras and Ocracoke Islands. In Texas,
state health officials in the Lone Star State have declared the state's measles outbreak over.
Correspondent John Scott.
The virus sickened 762 people since late January. Nearly 100 were hospitalized and 2 children died.
3 more Republican governors, the chief executives of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana, authorizing the deployment of National Guard troops to fight crime in Washington, D.C. That brings to roughly 1,100 the number of Guard members on duty in the streets of the nation's capital. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 16 points. The NASDAQ futures are off 42 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower or storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
Tony Colombo here for the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, where they have a huge selection of products and services for your yard and home, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, and that includes anything from livestock to the family dog or cat. They'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. Visit them in St. Peters on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, and check out all their products and services at oldtowncountrystore.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, Mr. Bailey goes to Washington. Also, some congressional Republicans are still claiming they're working on getting that Epstein file information out to us.
Okay.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
As was said in the Rumble chat box earlier today, not holding my breath. Also, there is a big change to that St. Charles data center story that's happening. That was supposed to be voted on tonight. It's not going to be.
Oh, okay. What's going on?
I'll tell you about that in just a second.
All
Coming
right.
up on 6:06. That's Gabe. That's Jerome. I'm Mike. Let's get a news dump in.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, the big news. Missouri is getting a new attorney general as Andrew Bailey is headed to Washington. Bailey confirmed on social media last night that he will become the co-deputy director of the FBI, so alongside Dan Bongino. His last day in office as Attorney General will be September 8th. Governor Kehoe will announce his pick for AG at 10 a.m. this morning. The new appointment will be Missouri's third Attorney General in 6 years.
Man, we're moving through them real fast.
We're moving through them because they all end up going to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I think now, to be fair, that means we're a good incubator for Republican talent, and I appreciate that. I mean, we've had I haven't been particularly disappointed or with any AGs that we've had in the last couple years here. They've actually been pretty good, pretty aggressive on all our big red things, as we like to say.
Yeah.
But could we slow down just a little bit?
We're electing him. Let's keep him for a little bit. Although I'm very happy to have Eric Schmidt in the U.S. Senate.
Absolutely.
Josh Hawley was a better attorney general than he is U.S. Senator.
True.
And so we'll get into more depth on this. We're going to dig into it at 6:20. I've already put the question out. Governor Kehoe has picked the new attorney general who he's going to appoint. We're going to find out at 10 o'clock, so a little under 4 hours from right now. I don't know who that is, but who do you hope it is? So send me a note on social media or give me a call here at 620-314-912-1019. If you want to watch the governor make that announcement, I'm pretty sure that's going to stream on mo.gov. So you can watch that live if you want to do that. Okay, that massive data center project in St. Charles shut down, at least for now. Yeah, the developer has pulled plans for that 440-acre Cumulus project, which they wanted to build near 370 and Harry S. Truman Boulevard. That happened one day before the city council was scheduled to vote on that plan, which would have been today. Mayor Dan Borgmeyer told Fox 2 that residents had good reason to be concerned.
Getting bigger and bigger, and the information kept getting smaller and smaller. We knew we were having a transparency problem.
Okay, so Cumulus and city officials had signed a non-disclosure agreement about the project, keeping many details from public view. I have been elected to office and I've been appointed to office. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
That is a huge red flag. Among other reasons for the pushback in the community is the estimated 5 million gallons of water the project would have dumped into Darting Creek every day if it were to be built. The developers might bring a revised plan back at a later time, or they may end up just moving it somewhere else and trying somewhere else.
So it's good news, at least for me, that this isn't a not in my backyard sort of situation. It's very much a the electorate looking at the devil in the details and finding the whole situation.
Well, they didn't have any details.
Well, that's what
the
I
problem.
mean. That's what I mean is that they actually, it wasn't just a headline situation.
Right.
It's like, hey, we want to put a data center, so yay or nay.
Right.
It was, hey, we want to put a data center in. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? What's all included? What are you going to do?
Well,
Who's it for?
You have to pass the bill to find out what's in it.
Yeah, and the voters, I think, I think they indicated enough that that wasn't gonna fly. That the developer said, okay, we got to pull back. So, and that's actually good. That this whole situation has turned out better than I thought it would.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens from here. Okay, the report commissioned by City Hall on the failures of the city emergency management agency is released. And it says things went wrong long before the tornado hit on May 16th. Among the many problems found was a lack of communication between SEMA and first responders, no clear policy on how to react in a situation like a tornado, and agency employees being absent during the emergency, as we know. The report also says post-emergency protocols that are actually required by law were not activated. Emergency Management Commissioner Sarah Russell was put on leave after the failures. The investigators in the report say, and I'm quoting here, "We are troubled by Commissioner Russell's refusal during her interview to recognize the multiple failures or to take any personal responsibility for them."
Oh, geez. All right. So, now this word is overused, I think, but this sounds systemic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if there are things by law that this agency is supposed to do that they're just not on the books, and it's not part of their protocol, it's not part of their training, there's nobody who works there who knows them, that's a major problem, especially because didn't this agency exist prior to the current number of people there? So were there ever basically guidebooks on how to do the job?
Well, they're the one that's there now is deficient and it misses a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, there are other things that's just a failure of leadership. There are 60 some odd tornado sirens throughout the city. And the report, and by the way, Fox 2 did a really good report on this. You can go to their website and find it. Something like 20 of them are inoperable or were inoperable at the time. They either weren't aware or they were aware and didn't fix. So there were over a dozen. There were many parts of the city that even as the sirens were activated, nobody would have heard it.
That's so crazy.
And so what you have here is a failure that goes to the top. All of the things, and the report says, 80-page report says, basically everything that went wrong was preventable.
Absolutely. Sounds it.
Yeah. And so this isn't a matter of, well, they just didn't fund it. They did say that they thought the SEMA needs more funding and more staffing and things like that. I don't know. We'll see. But they said that did not contribute to what went wrong on May 16th.
What it sounds like is that it turned into a jobs program for incompetent people.
Yeah.
Incompetent DEI hires,
Right.
honestly, a little camp that they set aside for them, and they did nothing. They did nothing related to the actual job. I'm firing everybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And keep in mind, on your phone, when those sirens went off on your phones, which it did on mine.
Yeah.
That's the private sector doing the better job than the government agency, which is a legitimate thing for government to be doing.
Yeah, seriously.
The private sector followed through. The public sector did not. And those in the basically one of the poorest areas of the city, least likely to have an iPhone, let's put it that way, they were left without any sort of warning. Whether or not that would have changed the outcome of 5 people being killed, I have no idea. But like I've said many times, that's the point. We don't know.
I think at least one of those has a case for a lawsuit against the city.
Oh, there's already been filed.
Yeah.
It's already been filed. Yep. Okay. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer speaking with reporters on Capitol Hill just ahead of the committee's interview with former Attorney General Bill Barr regarding Jeffrey Epstein files and information related to him. The committee chairman says he's expecting the Justice Department to release more files soon.
They're compiling everything together. I think we're working together in a good faith effort, and everything's coming along. I expect to receive the documents very, very soon.
Okay, they've had time to do that.
Yeah,
there's been plenty of time to do that. If they were serious about releasing them, they would have done it by now,
ages ago.
Instead of telling everybody to stop talking about it. The Oversight Committee has subpoenaed former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, in addition to former officials across multiple past administrations. Of course, at this point, the Trump administration is still not releasing that information, but they say they're going. Basically, everybody's saying we're going to release some of it, but remember, it doesn't exist. But we've got it, and we're going through it, and we're redacting it, but it doesn't exist, and it's all a hoax.
Yeah, there's so many twists and turns to this. Just give us a couple people. I think the American public would be okay if they said, here's footage of the raid on dude X, Y, and Z. Just three dudes, three different locations. They throw us raids of them getting hemmed up. Is like, these are Epstein co-accomplices or whatever. The Epstein ring is now broken. They could do that, and this would be over, I think. But they're not even doing that, which says something to me.
Yeah, I would settle for just telling us what the temple on the island was about. I mean,
the temple.
Yeah, because I don't really think we're going to get what we want out of this at this point.
No,
They've had so much time to do whatever they're doing behind the scenes. It's very.
I think we need to keep up as much pressure as possible, but I am losing hope that any administration is going to do the right thing on this. All right, the Animal Protective Association (APA) is expanding into North County. The APA purchased property on Benham Road to add adoption, veterinary care, and community programs in the region. Once built and opened, it's going to be called APA North. Construction is scheduled to start early next year. They have a goal of opening in 2027. So that's actually where we got Rosie.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we got our cat.
Mm-hmm.
Rosie. Her full name, by the way, Jerome, I don't think I've ever told you this, is Rosalita Butthead Ferguson. All right, the Cardinals get a win on the road, beating the Marlins 8-3. Alec Burleson had 2 RBI singles, and Nolan Gorman had a 2-run home run. The same 2 teams play this evening, 5:40. Michael McGreevy is scheduled to start on the mound for the Redbirds. Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Newstalk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at hammondinstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today. Or visit colecombs-law.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, who's next? We're going to find out who Missouri's next attorney general is in about a little bit over 3.5 hours now that Andrew Bailey is headed for the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting chain of events. The rumors and the talking mill out of Jefferson City and Washington, D.C., just kind of erupted yesterday afternoon.
Just lit up.
Just out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that the changes are being made. Attorney General Andrew Bailey confirms it on social media yesterday afternoon, later in the afternoon. And turns out this has apparently been in the works for a little while.
I had to explain why my phone was buzzing so much.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?
Exactly. Okay, so the announcement comes. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is joining the FBI. And he's going to be the co-deputy director of the FBI, which means that you've got Kash Patel as the director of the FBI, Dan Bongino and Andrew Bailey as co-deputy directors. And so 2 different questions on this. One is, what does that tell us about what's happening when it comes to reforming the FBI and the Department of Justice? And why would, obviously, the other part of that question is, why would Andrew Bailey be the guy that Donald Trump wants? We know that Donald Trump really likes Andrew Bailey's work, and Andrew Bailey has been a very, very loyal supporter of the president. And then also, who should be the next attorney general in the state of Missouri?
Mm-hmm.
I put that question out a little bit earlier. Allison on Rumble says, how about Nick Schroer or David Wassinger?
Oh, okay.
I've actually seen Nick Schroer's name a number of times. I'll be very, very surprised if it's Nick Schroer. He doesn't play well with the establishment, and that's one of the things we like about him.
Yes.
So we do have a name that's coming around a lot. It's all the rumor mill. So normally I don't report on the rumor mills, but published reports are saying that basically the insiders are claiming that it is former Speaker of the House, Catherine Hanaway.
Mm-hmm.
I have not spoken to Catherine in like 15 years. She's been out of the game for quite a while. I don't know. Tim Jones is much more connected, obviously, than almost every human in Missouri, and he's going to be with us at 7:05 to follow up on that. The appointment is going to be announced at 10 o'clock. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that you can stream that either at mo.gov or at the governor's page. They're going to live stream that. So if you want to watch that and see it live, you can do that then. But are there any other names that you would like to see on that? Send me a note or give me a call, 314-912-1019. My hope is that whomever is picked, whether it's Catherine or anybody else, that they are just as conservative and just as aggressive.
Yes.
I mean,
that's an important deal here, because we've had the luxury, I think, for a while now, of having both a conservative and aggressive AG.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely do not want to go back. I don't want to go back to any sort of milquetoast, tiptoeing around tulips sort of I don't want to say establishment conservative necessarily, because there are some establishment conservatives who still hold the line on some of these issues, right? But I want that aggression. We need to be on offense constantly. Now, granted, it's kind of a defensive position where somebody does something and we jump up, but that aggression is absolutely necessary, especially right now when I feel as though conservatives are kind of standing, across the abyss to keep us from sliding into absolute ridiculousness.
Right. I mean, one thing, Andrew Bailey and Eric Schmidt have been very aggressive. Very conservative, very aggressive. I think Josh Hawley was aggressive in some areas, not the way that Eric Schmidt was. Because Josh Hawley was not Attorney General when the COVID lockdowns and everything happened, and when we started finding out just how bad the situations were in K through 12 education regarding the left-wing activism and the LGBT stuff,
indoctrination, and all that.
The racial stuff, all that kind of oppression matrices and things like that. And Andrew Bailey's followed that up very well and has been just as aggressive and just as conservative. And so who the next person is that going to be a continuation? Because Eric Schmidt was overwhelmingly elected after he was appointed. And then Andrew Bailey was overwhelmingly elected after he was appointed. Missourians have made it very clear, this is the kind of attorney general we like.
Right.
This is the kind of attorney general we want. Is that who and what we're going to get after this?
Right. Now, how does the A.G. Bailey's aggressiveness and his experience in this office lead one to basically create a position for him at the FBI?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. The co-deputy director position did not exist.
Right.
It is being created. What's obvious is that Donald Trump has said, I want that guy in my administration, and I want him in the Department of Justice. I want him in the FBI. Why?
Right. That's the big question.
That remains to be seen. My hope is that because Andrew Bailey has shown to be the kind of aggressive attorney general who's exactly the kind of person, if they wanted to, who could go after something like the Epstein files, who could go after something like the weaponization of government by the Biden administration against people who spoke up at school board meetings and pro-life activists and things like that. So he's got the history that we've seen in the short time he's been attorney general, that he's not afraid to tackle those things. Now it comes down to, what are the marching orders from above him?
Right.
And I don't want to jinx anything, but what are the potential, I guess, side effects or ripple effects that could be happening? Because we're taking somebody that we like, Andrew Bailey,
right?
And I don't know too much about all the intricacies of the FBI, of course, but that seems like a pretty important position he's being placed into. So that vacuum that's going to create both locally and at the federal level, if things go the way that we saw with Dan Bongino again.
Right.
I mean, there's potential for something. So what should we be looking out for?
I mean, now I think you got two part answer there. One, the answer in Washington, D.C., and the one in Jefferson City. Where do we start?
Let's start local.
Okay. Whoever the governor appoints, and we're going to find out a little bit later on today, there's going to be about a 3-week transition period because Andrew Bailey's last day is September 8th.
Okay.
Then he goes. So he's put in his 3 weeks notice. The governor is going to tell us whether or not he's going to have somebody who is conservative and aggressive, or is going to be more of the establishment. That's what we're going to find out. So I don't think there's going to be a vacuum locally or in the state for that, because we're going to get somebody in that position. There are lots of names that I've seen thrown around, but everybody keeps coming back to Catherine Hanaway. I don't know if that's true or not. I have heard Nick Schroer's name. I'll be very surprised, just because, Nick has been such a stalwart challenging the establishment. And when you don't play well with the establishment doesn't reward you, but voters clearly have rewarded Nick Schroer. I have heard Kurt Schaefer I would be surprised if it's Kurt. You know, you talk about a very, very establishment, sort of right of center Republican, would not go over well with the grassroots at all. So I think what we're about to find out is what direction the Kehoe administration wants to go with statewide office in Missouri.
Okay.
And then whoever's appointed, will that person just fill out that term, the rest of that term? Because we're talking about a term that ends in 2028.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or will that person want to run again and keep that job after that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what we're going to find out. But I don't think there's going to be a vacuum. We're just going to find out if there's a change of direction. Now, here's what I think is going to be interesting in Washington, D.C. And by the way, if there are any other names that we're not thinking of that you would like to see named today, let me know. Let me know what you like to see. Does this say something about Dan Bongino's position in the administration?
Yeah, it had to make you wonder. I mean, initially when the initial reports came out, the idea was, or at least I'll say the initial rumors came out. The appointment was to not co-deputy,
deputy
but
director.
deputy director. He was that A.G. Bailey was going to become deputy director. I was like, wait a second. So what's with Dan? You know,
Yeah.
And that was my immediate thought. I was like, well, what's going to happen to Dan? But then we come to find out it's a co-deputy director position.
Right.
So he's coming alongside Dan. I was
Right.
like, well, what does all this mean?
Well, I mean, so let's look at a couple options.
All
As
right.
has been pointed out on the Rumble chat box in particular, and I don't know what's happening in the Facebook comments. You can check that out. There are some people who say there is so much corruption, you just need more people to root it out.
Mm-hmm.
Very well could be.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then that's a sign that they're serious about going after the corruption. Listen, Dan Bongino doesn't need the job that he's got. He gave away a freaking media empire worth tens of millions of dollars that he's built up.
Yeah.
He doesn't need this. He truly sacrificed his own income to go serve in this administration.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a model for public servantism, essentially, this would be it. Is giving up millions of dollars and an empire you can control to become, a lesser,
right? A basically a lieutenant,
lesser position in the government,
right?
For nothing, basically.
Yeah. So whether or not this means that Bailey will be moving in and basically take over what Dan Bongino is doing, and Dan Bongino will move on to something, I don't know. Or, as some people are saying, maybe there's just so much work to be done. They need somebody to take some of the load.
Yeah.
And let Dan Bongino and Andrew Bailey both take on and manage some of the casework.
It's a good point, considering, how much the point of their appointment was very much in line with the idea of cleaning house.
Right.
And that's typically a new job. It's not the job of the FBI necessarily to clean its own house, but sometimes you need the occasional spring cleaning there. So there, I imagine there's the job of the FBI normally, which is to enforce, laws federally, and then the job of cleaning the FBI itself, which is, I guess, extra. So then, yeah, it makes sense that you need more people.
Yeah. So it could go either direction, and we're going to find out in the coming weeks. That's for sure.
Now, our Georgian friend Jay Monty says,
Yes.
knowing Missouri, it's going to be Sam Page.
Hey!
Don't do that to us, Monty.
Hey!
Don't put that evil on me.
Oh my goodness!
Get behind me, Satan.
Oh.
Now, speaking of Satan, mainstream media is projecting again. Are they reporting on the demise of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, or hoping to make that happen while the Freedom Caucus is winning? We'll bring you up to date on that at 6:35.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Missouri is one of two states challenging union bosses and their scheme to coerce workers into funding union political activities. We'll talk to Mark Mix about that Tuesday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower or storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
For 93 years, R&R Ace Hardware in St. Clair has been your family-owned destination. We're more than hardware. Find Carhartt clothing, gifts, toys, fishing gear, and fabric all under one roof. 4 generations of small-town service with big store selection. R&R Ace Hardware in St. Clair. Worth the drive.
R&R Ace Hardware in Sullivan isn't your typical hardware store. It's a destination. Find Carhartt clothing, home decor, toys, fishing gear, and fabric all in one place. Proudly woman-owned with unique finds you won't get in the city. R&R Ace Hardware Sullivan. Worth the drive.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
It's that time of season when families, businesses are moving. For local or long distance, I endorse McGuire Moving. Get a date set soon before the schedules are booked. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. McGuire is constantly giving back to our veterans, such as support dogs for our brave. So with McGuire, you're getting excellent service and helping our vets. McGuireMoving.com.
The news and talk.
Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
That matters to St. Louis.
More files in the Russia collusion hoax are expected to be released.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
So reports of their demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, clearly.
The Missouri Independent, follow them on Blue Sky. They published an article yesterday. Missouri Freedom Caucus left with only 2 Senate members after summer of defections. So if you read the article, you would they're trying to give the impression that this is just a dying group. They're just dissolving. They're going away. The results of our politics show something very, very differently, but the Missouri Independent articles tend to get picked up by other media. So let's talk about that narrative. By the way, got an interesting email. Martin emailed me on the question of who's going to be the next attorney general. He says, Mike, I think it could be Jay Ashcroft.
And
that would be an interesting pick.
Absolutely an interesting pick.
We're hearing a lot of the name Catherine Hanaway as well. And, you know, another name that's come up like TJ Moe and some others on social media saying, I know who he should pick. He should pick Senator Nick Schroer, who joins us right now. So there you go, Nick. Your name is in the discussion already. Let me get it out of the way. Have you had any discussions with the governor about attorney general?
We actually did have, not with the governor, but with the governor's team. We did speak a little bit yesterday with all the rumors that were swirling around. But I am not in Jefferson City today, and the governor is going to be having a press conference announcing his new pick. So I'll let you put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, all right. Exactly. All right, Nick. So I'm sure you saw this article. You were interviewed in the article by Jason Hancock, and it's just part of, I wanted to talk to you about this because this is probably going to end up in other media around the state. They are trying so hard to create the narrative that the Freedom Caucus is just a flash in the pan. It's not really doing anything, and you guys can't get along with anybody, including yourselves, and it's just dissolving the way the Conservative Caucus did a few years ago. So that's the framing that they've got. What's the reality?
Well, I think you can kind of see the natural progression of things with the foundation of the conservative caucuses. I guess you could say the conservative caucus has been around, even when our good friend Tim Jones was in the legislature. There were freedom caucuses. There were groups of extraordinary gentlemen. There were the Four Horsemen. There were all of these iterations of people who have just had enough with the swamp creatures, with the sheep, that just bend the knee to special interests and forget the people back at home. And when I made it into the Missouri Senate, the conservative caucus kind of disbanded. They said, yeah, I think we've got enough members now within the Republican Party that are going to stand up, that grew a spine, and will stand up against all the special interests and make sure that the people come first. Well, that didn't happen. And my second year in the legislature, I was asked to be part of the Freedom Caucus, which is part of something bigger. It's not just, a couple guys getting together. This is part of the state Freedom Caucus network that was born out of the House Freedom Caucus in Washington, D.C., where we have people like Eric Burleson and many others, Chip Roy, Byron Donalds, that have had enough on a national level. And a lot of these Freedom Caucuses across America, some don't have any Senate members, some don't have any House members, some have just a few here and there. And the fact is, yeah, we lost a couple people who, voted a different way than they had pledged to not only the Freedom Caucus, but to Missourians as a whole when it came to the billionaire boondoggle bailout, the stadium deal that was a part of the special session. And they left on their own. But the fact of the matter is we're growing intensely in the House. There are a lot of members who are asking to be vetted, who are asked to be looked at. And here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to announce a couple of these members that we're adding into the House. And hopefully that's going to grow into something bigger and better once these primary elections happen next year.
Morning, Nick. Gabe here. So this article went out of its way to highlight all of the conflicts, I guess, between the Freedom Caucus and the establishment, I guess we like to say.
Again, follow them on Blue Sky.
Follow them on Blue Sky. Yes, exactly. So obviously they have a particular bone to pick. They like the idea of chaos, but I don't think the conflict means what they think it means. So tell us why that isn't necessarily an indicator that the Freedom Caucus is about to go away.
Well, yeah, I think Mike said it best himself. Of the rumors of our demise have been greatly exaggerated. Yet last year, when Bill Eigel, Andrew Koenig, Denny Hoskins, all these guys turned out who were part of the founding members of the Freedom Caucus, they were members in leadership that said, "Yep, Freedom Caucus is dead. We're finally going to have sanity. Everybody's going to come back to the table." No, that didn't happen. We came back stronger. We had the first and last bills last session, and many of the bills that we accomplished last year, they got to the governor's desk and signed by the governor. We had members of the House, members of the Senate that were part of the Freedom Caucus spearheading these big moves. Myself, Justin Sparks, Adam Schnelting, Ben Keithley. The list goes on the big victories we got, not only policy-wise, but even in the budget. Some of the cuts that Darren Chappell, a guy out in Springfield, is instituting within our budget. So, look, I think we always need to be a check on leadership. We need to be the pulse of the people back at home. And currently spending a lot of time and a lot of money on special sessions that are dedicated to handouts for rich stadium and team owners, I think it's not what the people want. They're hurting back at home. Utility prices are going up. We passed a terrible bill this year, Senate Bill 4, which I voted against and I stood against. We just didn't have the manpower to fully give that thing the death that it deserved. But the Freedom Caucus is at the tip of the spear at things like the crime bill, the income tax cuts, personal property tax cuts, you name it, the free things that we're talking about all the time, the freedom type things that we're talking about all the time. Those are the bills that the Freedom Caucus is pushing. And I think you're going to see a stronger push this next year saying, look, we better prioritize these items instead of all of the sludge that the lobbyists want.
Okay, so there's no question the relationship between the Freedom Caucus and the Republican leadership was terrible at one point. I mean, literally being stripped of chairmanships, being kicked out of parking places, just petty garbage by, Caleb Rowden and some of the others.
Don't forget the threats of coming and taking my couch.
Right. That's
right.
that's
That actually happened.
So, tell me about the relationship between Republican leadership and the Freedom Caucus today.
It's a lot stronger. In that article that you see from the Missouri Independent, Jason Hancock, I mentioned at the very end that the goal of the Freedom Caucus is not to expand and take over and then the Republican Party becomes the Freedom Caucus. No, we want the Republican Party to remember their policy platform, all of the key items that they ran on every single election year of prioritizing the people, cutting spending, cutting government, making government so small it can fit into your pocket. So ultimately, by getting stronger Republicans elected, hopefully the Freedom Caucus will just go away if we did the job that we promised on the campaign trail. And that's kind of what we've talked to leadership about this year. I know Cindy O'Loughlin and Tony Luetkemeyer in the Senate, they were able to work with us on a lot of items, including getting rid of capital gains tax, the big crime bill that was prioritized number one by Governor Kehoe, leadership in the House and the Senate. That's because, let's not forget, HJR 73, putting the pro-life issue back on the ballot and fully educating the voters as to what is in that bill, unlike what we saw on Amendment 3. But these are things that happen because there is communication. There is peace through strength in working with the leadership in the Republican Party and just, not avoiding them and trying to steamroll them with a couple members.
Okay, so is there a likelihood, or what would the likelihood be of a special session being called? Obviously, initiative petition reform, and then the redistricting issue. I know that you all are calling for that, among many others. How do you gauge the likelihood of that actually happening? And then after that, my follow-up question is going to be, going into the 2026 session, which is only 4 months from now, less than 4 months from right now, what are going to be some of the top priorities of the Freedom Caucus?
Well, piggybacking off of the last question and answer of communication with leadership, I think we're going to go into a special session, hopefully in conjunction with veto session. We're mandated to be up there a certain week in September, just in a couple of weeks. And it's because of that communication with the Freedom Caucus, not only here in Missouri, but also former Freedom Caucus members that have now elevated to Congress. Congressman Bob Onder, Congressman Eric Burleson, talking with the Trump administration working with the Missouri Freedom Caucus, and the Missouri Freedom Caucus working with the governor and leadership in the House and the Senate. I firmly believe the push that we had in 2022 to make this a 7-1 map, it was not the end. We said when we get the troops, we rally the troops again and get Donald Trump in office, we're more than likely going to be back, because historically, yes, we have been able to assert, Republican states have been able to assert their authority in creating maps to compete with all of the Maryland, California, New York, Illinois. Let's not forget about Illinois monstrosities when it comes to gerrymandering. But I do think that is very, very possible going to go into session for initiative petition reform as well. Those are discussions that are happening with the Freedom Caucus and leadership on a daily basis to try to figure out if we can get on the same page. But going into next year, regardless of whether we have a special session on a stadium deal, regardless if we do it on IP reform or redistricting, it is going to be mass chaos, because that is what the Democrat Party has become. Just look at Washington, D.C., look at Portland, look at a lot of these states like Illinois, where everybody's fleeing to. They're fleeing to the most gerrymandered state in the union, because that is what they believe their future is in, is the chaos that the Illinois Democrat Party has become.
All right. State Senator Nick Schroer, also chair of the Freedom Caucus in the Missouri legislature. Going to be interesting to see what happens a little bit later on today. A lot of rumors as to who's going to be appointed. I keep hearing the name Catherine Hanaway. I've heard a couple other names as well. What do you expect?
You know, what about Tim Jones?
Oh,
a lot of people are sleeping on the former speaker, Tim Jones, who is an attorney, who is a pit bull and is a firebrand, just like Andrew Bailey, just like, Eric Schmidt. I think that would be pretty fun, but he would have to give up his day job with Chris Arps.
He would have to. So I'm asking Tim about that in 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying. Hey, Nick, appreciate the update, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Have a blessed week.
All right.
Yeah. So Missouri is also losing another attorney general to Washington. This time he's being hired by the Trump administration. Now we've got the details at 6:50, and we'll be joined by Tim Jones's political crystal ball at 7:05 to discuss what's next for the Show Me State. Sorry.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I have to tell my kids that I'm a rock star now.
on News Talk STL. News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Oh, interesting. Some interesting names are coming up on the Rumble chat box.
Oh, yeah.
Lunch Lady. What about Will Scharf?
Oh,
he ran for Attorney General. He's now working in the White House as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting name. Let's see here. Righty Right. How about Susie?
Susie Q.
Susie Q. Susie Moore, who, by the way, starts her vacation today. So, Susie, if you're listening right now, stop it. Go on vacation.
Yeah, seriously.
Go. All right. Mr. Bailey is going to Washington. That's why
Mhm.
we're having all these names floated around here. And also, there's a big change in that St. Charles data center story. We'll tell you about it here in just a second. The coffee's kicking in. Let's do a news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right. Missouri is getting a new attorney general as Andrew Bailey is headed to Washington. Bailey confirmed on social media last night that he will become co-deputy director of the FBI. So he is going to be partnering with Dan Bongino, both of them reporting to Kash Patel. His last day in office as Attorney General will be September 8th. Governor Kehoe will announce his pick for Attorney General at 10 a.m. this morning. The new appointment will be Missouri's third Attorney General in 6 years because they all keep moving up to federal office.
Yeah, seriously.
And federal positions.
Missouri just keeps getting poached. at this
Illinois,
point.
they send their statewide officials to prison. In Missouri, we send them to Washington, D.C. to work in the federal government.
You know, I actually don't mind that that whole setup right there.
So I've got the question out there. Who do you want to see named as the new attorney general? And we have heard everything from Nick Schroer to Tim Jones to Susie Moore to David Wassinger to who was the other one we just Jay Ashcroft, and
yes.
then also, what was the other one we heard? We've had so many come in here, but
Will Scharf.
Will Scharf, yes, Will Scharf. So we've heard a lot of those names. Who do you want to see picked? We'll know in just over 3 hours. Okay, that massive data center project in St. Charles, not happening, at least for right now. The developer has pulled plans for the 440-acre Cumulus project, which they wanted to build near 370 and Harry S. Truman Boulevard. That happened one day before the city council was scheduled to vote on the plan, which that vote would have happened today. Mayor Dan Borgmeyer told Fox 2 that residents, he said, have good reason to be concerned about the project. If my computer will keep up with my clicks. Here we go. Here's what he had to say.
The project kept getting bigger and bigger, and the information kept getting smaller and smaller. We knew we were having a transparency problem.
Okay, so Cumulus and city officials had signed a non-disclosure agreement about the project, keeping many details from public view.
Yeah.
I have been elected to office. I have been appointed to office, both on a planning and zoning commission level and then as an alderman level. If there's a non-disclosure agreement that says, do not tell the public about this plan, you've got a big red flag on your hands. So
Absolutely.
Citizens of St. Charles were right to be skeptical and to start pushing back, if nothing else, because there was a non-disclosure agreement and they were not told what was going on. Now, once they were told what's going on, then you got a whole different set of framing that you should have. But the non-disclosure agreement says, don't let anybody know, just approve this whole thing without people knowing. Absolutely not.
Yeah, they don't play that in St. Charles.
No. Among the other reasons for the pushback in the community is the estimated 5 million gallons of water the project would have dumped into Darding Creek every day if it were to be built. The developers may bring a revised plan back at a later time, but they may just scrap it and try to build somewhere else. I mean, you do have a lot of jobs that are going to be built in addition to the construction work and all that sort of thing. So it is a big deal.
Here's hoping that the next city they try to woo forces them to be a little more transparent.
They have to be more transparent. Yeah, absolutely. All right. The report commissioned by City Hall on the failures of the City Emergency Management Agency in St. Louis is released. And it says things went wrong long before that tornado hit on May 16th. Among the many problems found in the 80-page report was a lack of communication between SEMA and first responders, no clear policy on how to react in a situation like a tornado. I mean, why would an emergency management agency need something like that? And agency employees obviously being absent during the emergency, which we knew about. The report also says post-emergency protocols that are required by law were not activated. Emergency Management Commissioner Sarah Russell was put on leave after all of those failures. The investigators in the report say, and I'm quoting here, "We are troubled by Commissioner Russell's refusal during her interview to recognize the multiple failures or to take any personal responsibility for them."
Jeez. Yeah. Now I understand why all these DEI types, think all problems are systemic. It's maybe because everywhere they go, they bring systemic problems.
Right. Yeah. And this is one that even if these problems existed before Sarah Russell, and let's generously say they did.
Sure.
It was her job to fix them, and she's been on the job for quite a while.
Yeah.
And she did nothing to fix them.
Probably worse than nothing.
Other than complain about not having enough money.
Yeah.
Which the report, to be fair, said that they need more staffing and resources.
Yeah, but this is a government agency, so I highly doubt that.
Right.
I mean, I doubt you need more money. I doubt you need more personnel. I think you just need more competence, and you would have been fine.
Yeah, there was a big lack of competence.
How many people do you need to press a button?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
There was one console, I believe. It's a series of buttons, but it's one console. It's like it takes only one person can fit in front of the console.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to brag here, but I've got multiple buttons I'm pushing right now. Where's my 100,000?
Yeah, you've got more buttons than they do.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about this in a little more depth here in just a little bit, right around 7:20. Your child's or maybe your grandchild's video game may pose a big danger. Okay, allowing groomers and predators access to them. That's why Louisiana's Attorney General is taking the owners of one hugely popular game to court.
Liz Merle says Roblox, the children's video gaming platform, is a haven for child predators. Roblox is immensely popular with young people, and for that reason, Merle has filed suit against it, charging it with failing to establish even the most basic safety protocols for its customers. The AG says, quote, users can easily say they are younger or older than their actual age, allowing child predators to pose as children and for children to bypass any age requirement. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Okay, it goes a lot deeper than that, which
Yeah.
right around 7:20, we'll get into that. And I'm going to tell you, it's a whole other world of video games than what we grew up with.
It's
so
very different.
You've got kids, you've got grandkids. You need to know about this, and we'll give you some details. Let's do that around 7:20, guys. Okay.
All right.
All right. The APA, Animal Protective Association, is expanding into North County.
Okay.
Yeah, the APA purchased property on Benham Road, and they're going to add adoption, veterinary care, and community programs in that part of the region. Once built and opened, it's going to be called APA North.
Okay.
And that's going to be your neck of the woods.
Yeah, right in my area.
Yep. Construction is scheduled to start early next year, and the goal is opening in 2027. So they've got a pretty ambitious construction project goal, basically, a year to a year and a half from groundbreaking to opening up. And once again, APA does a great job. That's where we got our cat. That's where my daughter got her cat too. So APA does a really good job. Matter of fact, the APA is one of the private agencies that the county enlisted to operate animal services when the county's own operations were falling apart and they were basically just failing at every level. So APA does some really, really good work. All right. The Cardinals get a win on the road. They beat the Marlins last night. Final score 8-3. Alec Burleson had 2 RBI singles. Nolan Gorman had a 2-run home run. Same 2 teams played this evening at 5:40. Michael McGreevy is scheduled to be the starting pitcher for the Redbirds in this one. Basically, right now, what you have with the Cardinals is just trying to shore up and prepare for next year. You're going to start seeing some new names coming up from Memphis, I have a feeling, because they're going to be looking at who's going to be the Redbird squad next year. The front office has given up on the 2025 campaign. Now everything is about trying to fine tune for next year. And so one of the biggest questions is not going to be just who's on the field. Will Arlie Marmol be back next season?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big question.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Located in the heart of St. Charles, Kevin's Guns is your family-owned destination for all things firearms. Whether you're a collector, hunter, or military enthusiast, we have it or can get it for you. From new to used rifles and handguns in every style and caliber, our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help educate you and ensure you make the perfect choice for your needs. Buy, sell, or browse our incredible selection at kevinsguns.net or call 636-493-1195. Kevin's Guns, where gun enthusiasts come home.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason.
In the wake of that historic diplomatic meeting at the White House, President Trump is now working to arrange a Zelensky-Putin meeting aimed at ending the war between their two countries.
These are the heads of major countries.
President Trump hosting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and 7 European leaders to discuss how to end the war with Russia.
All of us would obviously prefer an immediate ceasefire while we work on a lasting peace.
But he told them,
in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine.
Adding,
the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them.
After the session, President Trump said he again spoke to Putin to begin arrangements for a face-to-face meeting between the Russian leader and Zelensky. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Mr. Trump is vowing more changes in the way elections are conducted in the U.S.
The president is speaking out once again about doing away with mail-in ballots, which are used by about 1/3 of all American voters.
We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud.
He also wants to eliminate voting machines. According to the Constitution, Congress has the authority to determine the time, place, and manner of elections. Greg Clugston, the White House.
East Coast witnessing treacherous surf and dangerous rip currents as Hurricane Aaron churns way out in the Atlantic. People are being urged not to go into the water. In some cases, they're prohibited from entering the surf. Aaron is not expected to make landfall, but it's a menacing storm nonetheless. Evacuation orders in place for parts of North Carolina's Outer Banks. The Air Canada Flight Attendants Union says it has a tentative contract agreement to end a 3-day strike that has snarled the travel plans of thousands of air passengers. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are mixed. The Dow futures 51 points higher. NASDAQ futures are down 22 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gordon's and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower or storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects. The name you can trust.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Phifer.
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This is your cousin.
All right, Missouri's Attorney General office seems to have become a fast track to Washington.
Yeah, seriously.
At this point.
The heck?
The last three guys have gone on to Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
from the Attorney General's office. I mean, think about it. Josh Hawley elected to the U.S. Senate. Then he's replaced by Eric Schmidt, who was appointed to take that job. Then he won election as Attorney General and then elected to the U.S. Senate.
Right.
He's replaced with Andrew Bailey, who was appointed and then elected. And now he's being hired by the Trump administration to work with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
So you're saying we need to discuss the Missouri Attorney General office to Washington, D.C. pipeline.
Yeah, exactly. My goodness. And so Andrew Bailey making that announcement, he's accepted that job in the Trump administration, which means obviously Missouri is going to need a new attorney general in just under 3 hours. Governor Mike Kehoe is going to announce who his pick is for that. We haven't made it official. We don't know. The rumor mill keeps coming around to one person. But one of the names that was just mentioned on this show,
Yeah, really.
by State Senator Nick Schroer was Tim Jones, who joins us right now. And Tim, I bet you didn't know that the first question out of the gate is, hey, are you the new Attorney General?
I can neither confirm nor deny that at this point, gentlemen.
How about this? Can you confirm or deny that you'll be hosting the show on September 9th after Andrew Bailey leaves, or will you?
My lips are sealed. Yeah, no,
nice.
No, I don't want to get Jeff Allen and Joe Rush. I don't want to get their panties in a wringer this early in the morning. But I probably said a whole bunch of inappropriate things there. But that's the way we roll. So it's funny. It's funny you mention all of that because I'm not joking. A lot of people. Look, in politics, in the world that I'm in, if you're not a little bit of a narcissistic egomaniac, well, then nobody cares about you. But I'm being honest though. I received a ton of texts yesterday from my friends in D.C. asking me if I was going to be the next Attorney General. It's very honored. I'm very flattered. I'm very honored and flattered to be, viewed as more of a national figure, where my friends in D.C. are asking me if I'm going to be the next Attorney General. But not many people here on the home front asked me because, look, folks know what I'm doing now, right? I'm helping run this magnificent radio station with you all. I'm the chief cat herder of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. I do a lot of work with Grover Norquist and the ALEC folks. So very busy. Thank you very much. And if I announced anything at this point in time, Mrs. Jones, my wife, not my mother, would absolutely have my hide. So
right.
I am staying put for the foreseeable near future, but it's nice to be remembered as an elected leader in this state. I view myself a little bit like Newt Gingrich, right, on the national level. I'm kind of the Speaker Emeritus. I like to rise above the fold. I like, people still call me that. They call me Mr. Speaker every once in a while. And a bunch of people call me things that I can't repeat on this radio station this morning. So.
Morning, Tim. Gabe here. So why Bailey actually for this position? Because Trump had to create this deputy director position for Bailey. So what do you think is actually going on here?
Yeah. So how about that? And to the point you guys are making, how amazing is it that so many Missourians, if you go down the list, I think you're on page 2 or 3 at this point of the Missourians that are serving in major roles in the White House, right? Will Scharf on down, right? You got Will Scharf, you got Alex Meyer, you got John Sauer, you've got now Andrew Bailey, and these are all folks that were chosen by the administration to be plucked out of the happy hillbilly heartland here and sent to D.C. I think that says something, right? Apparently we need good old heartland hillbilly values up there in Washington, D.C. to try to straighten that place out. Not to mention our elected leadership folks, all of whom definitely are bending the political cost curve to the conservative side, away from the old kind of establishment days that we used to have here in Missouri. You got your Bob Onders, your Eric Burlesons, your Josh Hawleys, your Eric Schmitz, all pretty much known in their lanes as conservative fire breathers. And Andrew Bailey's in that mold. So there's something here in the water, I guess, that is appealing to the Trump administration and to voters to send us to Washington, D.C. to try to fix the mess that DC's become. DC no longer serves the people of this country. Let's be honest, right? It serves special interests. It is one of the wealthiest per capita in the country. Why, I don't know, because they don't make anything except bad laws and more taxes. And so, I think that's remarkable that there's this pipeline here. I think a lot of people are scratching their heads, wondering why Andrew Bailey would give up on the track on which he was on. Let's be honest. He was one of the two front runners, I would argue, next to Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick, to run for governor in 2032. Yes, we're talking about 2032 because, of course, that's what we do in politics, right? And so, Mike Kehoe will term out that year. And so who's next, right? We're always looking for the next generation of leadership. Andrew Bailey, prolific fundraiser, tons of name ID with all of the litigation battles he's been waging, and a pretty darn good guy. And many thought he would, sit where he is, continue to raise money, raise his profile, and run for governor in 2032. Now, other people pushed back on me and said, look, when you get that nod from a presidential administration and you go do your public service in DC, that just opens a whole new set of doors, palace doors for you at that level. And so I don't think we've seen the last of Andrew Bailey. He's not going to disappear into the Borg of the FBI, never to be seen from again. He's a young enough guy, a talented enough guy that I think the world is his oyster right now.
So what do you make of can we read anything into this regarding the future of Dan Bongino in the administration? Because he's expressed some dismay and frustration with the job that he's kind of been saddled with.
Yes. Gabe, to mention something you're all too familiar with, my spidey sense is tingling here. So I believe there's something going on here. I can't quite put my finger on it, but fellas, I think it's interesting that this position was created for Andrew Bailey. It wasn't like he was filling something that was empty. I don't know. I could be completely wrong in all face. It's happened before, but I just think there's something happening here that that the story is not completely told, where there's going to be some form of additional shakeup at the FBI. They're moving Andrew Bailey up and in to kind of position him for something. I don't know that deputy co-director is going to be his final title in this whole mix. So I would keep a close eye on this between Kash Patel, Bongino, Andrew Bailey, and of course Pam Bondi, very much likely in the background here, helping orchestrate a lot of this with President Trump himself.
All right, we're visiting with former Missouri Speaker Tim Jones. Obviously, you can hear him every afternoon with Chris Arps here on News Talk STL. Okay, so let's talk about what's going to happen in just over 3.5 hours. Governor Kehoe is going to announce his new pick. The rumor mill keeps circling back to Catherine Hanaway. I don't know if that's correct or true or not. We've heard a number of other names tossed out there, but whoever the governor picks, is he signaling what direction he wants to take state government, in that we could be, a lot of us are hoping for another aggressive conservative prosecutor type like Andrew Bailey, like Eric Schmidt, but it's also possible there could be, I guess, a more establishment type. What do you think we should be looking for in this announcement?
All right. It depends on what Kehoe's looking for here. Is he looking to essentially not usurp the will of the voters and who they choose as Andrew Bailey? And is he looking to just maybe placehold that position? I'm not saying that in any sort of de minimis way, but someone an excellent attorney, an excellent manager to run that office, make sure it's in great shape, and then open it back up to the voters again in 2028, right? In a primary, that would be the next primary time. Or is he definitely looking to put his permanent mark on that office? So like you, Mike, I have heard from pretty much everyone in the rumor mill machine in Missouri politics that Catherine Hanaway, the former speaker, the only woman speaker, Republican, by the way, doesn't get mentioned enough by the lunatic left media, that she will get the nod. Now, Catherine Hanaway, we all, as elected officials in Missouri, stand on her shoulders. She and Rod Jetton orchestrated the Republican Renaissance back in 2002. Many argue that but for Catherine Hanaway and Rod Jetton, it would have taken many more years for Republicans to take control. They would have eventually done so. But Catherine and Rod Jetton sped it along. She looked at the map and figured out where the Republican seats needed to be, where they could be, and we stand on her shoulders. Now, since then, though, she ran for statewide office twice and did not succeed. She was a U.S. attorney. Let's remind folks of that appointed position. So she can do the job. No, she's an excellent lawyer. She is running the Hush Law Firm, an international law firm based here in Missouri. I'm sure she's making quite a bit of bank. So would she be going into this to say, okay, I'm just going to fulfill the remainder of the term and I will not run again in 2028? Or is she thinking, aha, I'm finally going to get in that statewide office position. I'll run for re-election in 2028, and then I will finally run for governor in 2032 as a sitting attorney general with all of the attention that comes around that. We don't know. Catherine Hanaway may not know yet at this point in time if she is the selection. There's a short list of people that were probably in front of the governor on this. I would imagine State Senator Tony Luetkemeyer was probably looked at. I think, yes, our very own Nick Schroer was looked at. You gotta consider some of the other names that you were mentioned, but it appears that Catherine Hanaway's at the top of the list. We could all be completely wrong, and the governor could come out of right field with a completely different name that we're not even talking about this morning. But it seems like all indications are pointing to her. If it is Catherine Hanaway, again, what is in her heart, mind, and soul? Does she want to do this to fill the unexpired term and then step aside in 2028? And then we will have a primary free-for-all. And once again, I think our own state senator, Nick Schroer, would definitely be at the top of the ticket for someone considering the position at that time.
Okay, Tim, I'm a little heavy on the segment, but I got to ask about the local effect on this. My guess is this would change nothing with the prosecution of Sam Page because the prosecutor is already appointed from the Attorney General's office. But could this, for instance, affect the effort to oust Alfred Montgomery from the city sheriff's position since Andrew Bailey is doing the Quo Warranto petition on that?
Yeah, Mike, quickly, I'll say I think all of the investigations could be affected. But on the other hand, I want to also remind folks that Catherine Hanaway always had a reputation, not just in words, but in action, as being a tough, law and order, prosecutor-minded attorney. That's how she conducted herself as speaker. That's how she conducted herself in all of the attorney positions she held that I'm aware of. So if it's talking about holding public officials to account and rooting out public corruption, I think you'll see a continuation of that if Catherine Hanaway is indeed the pick.
All right, Tim Jones, obviously you'll have a lot to talk about because we'll know who it is by the time you and Chris are on the air at 4 o'clock today. Tim, really appreciate the insight.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. Continue to have the great show you do.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Another name that was just put up on Rumble. I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and saying, no, the next attorney general is not Mark McCloskey.
No, that's not going to happen. Now, something to keep in mind is that the retro video games that people grew up with, very, very different nowadays. In fact, downright dangerous in some instances. This case actually hits pretty close to home to me. So stay tuned and find out what you need to know to protect your kids and grandkids at 7:20.
Had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
On the next Larry Connors USA.
So now Trump has met with Putin, Zelensky. What happens next? Everyone is waiting to see.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Jamie Allman here, and I want you to hide out with me 10 minutes south of 270 in Gravois at the wonderful Hideout, the best burgers you're going to find anywhere in the land, and yet people still eat Dave's Chili right there in 90-degree temperatures. Music every day, it seems, people, on the weekends especially, and dinners and lunch served every single day of the week. The coldest beer and the best staff you're going to find. The Hideout right there in High Ridge.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, you don't have to understand the techie side of online gaming to understand this part, okay? Groomers and predators have figured out how to use your kids, maybe your grandkids, gaming to reach them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in case you missed this in the news dump, here's what's happening is Louisiana's Attorney General is taking the owners of a hugely popular video game into court, and it's over the alleged access that's being allowed by these groomers and predators. Here's the story.
Liz Merle says Roblox, the children's video gaming platform, is a haven for child predators. Roblox is immensely popular with young people, and for that reason, Merle has filed suit against it, charging it with failing to establish even the most basic safety protocols for its customers. The AG says, quote, users can easily say they are younger or older than their actual age, allowing child predators to pose as children and for children to bypass any age requirement. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Okay, so Jerome told me first mentioned this, what, a day or two ago, I think it was. And remember, I grew up in the era where we had an Atari 2600. Okay. Online video games were not a thing. You had these cartridges you put in, and I'm not doing the joking thing about the generational gap, but legitimately, I did not know what you were talking about because I don't do online gaming. It's never been something. It just that missed me, and it missed generally my kids. They don't do online gaming, and they were never really big into it. But explain the techie side of this, because when I think of a video game, I think of a video game, and I understand that there's like the first person shooters and you can team up with people. I get that. I think a lot of people do. But when you were telling me groomers and predators stuff, that made no sense to me. I had no understanding of what that means. And I'm not that old. Right. So explain this, guys. Let's start there.
Okay. So back in you guys' day, you had arcades. So you actually had physically.
I do resent that.
Okay.
Back in you guys' days.
Right there. I'm just going to say that part, but go ahead.
So essentially, if you took the idea of an arcade and you made it virtually online, so it's what's essentially called a sandbox game. You have these characters, and then basically, if you wanted to create your own chat room, if you wanted to create your own role-playing thing, if you wanted to have a character customized, that is what Roblox is essentially. This
is the game we're talking about.
This is the game we're talking about, yes.
So parents, grandparents, look to see if your kids are involved with Roblox.
If you've ever gotten a friend, a child in your life saying, hey, I would like some Robux, that's the currency that they spend in the game to customize, to sometimes access some of this content, that is related to Roblox. So that's something.
Let me pause real quick. Roblox, the game itself. What are you doing on that?
It's a platform.
Yes.
It's so basically imagine Roblox as a digital world that you enter.
It's like a digital arcade.
So like Sims?
Multiplayer Sims, essentially.
Kind of. Okay. But everybody gets to build their own stuff inside the Roblox platform.
Okay. And that's what makes it so popular. So it's just for context, 110 active players on any given day.
110 million.
110 million. Yeah. So essentially what it is you have your custom version of yourself, a sim, or if you think of like
an avatar.
Yeah, an avatar. I don't know if you guys know what avatars are, but yeah, you have an avatar that represents you that you can customize. And then there are different, I guess what you would call mini games, which would be like an arcade machine that people will customize and build. And then you interact with each other like you would social media. So that is the element that is being exploited by these groomers.
I don't understand what you just said, but that's okay.
Okay,
but
so imagine if you could go to a virtual reality arcade, and you, instead of going and playing with the joystick, you could actually go into these private rooms where they have games made by other people to keep the content. That's how they. That's what it's almost. That's the best way I can explain it.
Okay. So the point though is that when you talked about like chat rooms and things like that, we do know what those are.
So,
those have been around forever.
So you use your avatar to like walk around and you can interact with people and then you chat with each other. So I don't believe it's voice chat, but it is typing chat.
Right.
And that allows these predators to come up and they will try. There's an entire guide that they have published on how to identify vulnerable youth through this game so that you can learn how to chat with them in a way that makes them feel comfortable. Then what you do is you take them from this game and you say, hey, I've got a Discord, an Instagram, a X account, whatever the case may be. You get them off that platform to privately interact to build that sort of parasocial relationship so they feel comfortable with you. And then they start exploiting the children. And there's a specific group called 764. You can Wikipedia them. It is everything about the satanic panic of the 80s, 10 times worse. And this is being conducted by 15 to 20-year-olds.
With the differences, it being real.
It being actually real. And I don't,
which was dumb.
I know it's early, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but it is the most vile things you can think, specifically targeting kids that are about 8 to 12 years old.
Okay.
Sometimes resulting in fatalities.
So let me go back to your kids or your grandkids.
Yeah.
You know, chances are with 110 million users, I would suspect the majority of them very, very young.
It is a game. It is a game targeted specifically to the young, like the Minecraft Lego sort of crowd, where it's people that are like, hey, I want to have
the creative kids.
Yeah, the creative kids. And so the issue with this in this specific case is that there was a group of several groups of people that said, hey, the moderation of this game from the actual company is not doing very much to stop this. This is one of the biggest ways that these predators are actually going through and grooming these children. We're going to take it upon ourselves to try to catfish the groomers, make them think we're the minors. We're going to get all this evidence. We're going to turn it over to the FBI. We're going to turn it over to law enforcement and get them busted. And Roblox recently, within a week or so, quite literally banned all the accounts of the vigilantes, saying you cannot be doing vigilante activities. So they were saying, well, if you're going to ban us, what are you going to do to actually crack down on this? And they said, well, nothing.
Okay, so the owners of Roblox, and this is who the Attorney General of Louisiana is taking to court.
Yes.
Are they acknowledging that this is happening on their game and on their platform?
Not anywhere as rampant. So they say, oh, well, there might be some instances that we take in when we get reports, we take into consideration, but the people that are reporting it, you just kicked off many of them. And there's an organized effort by these people to say, well, we need to do something. So that's part of where they're not the AG of Louisiana is not the only one suing them. Some of these people themselves are saying, we were the ones that were trying to bring it to the attention of the company to say, this is happening. We have all this evidence. We got banned. The accounts that are associated with the groomers and the predators, a lot of those accounts are still active, and including the 764 group I mentioned. There are custom like costumes for your character that are based on actual convicted, arrested, in jail right now members of this group that have done horribly, like the most disgusting thing you can imagine, and people are still wearing those to identify each other so they can recreate their networks and go back and do it. And so the accounts that are causing the problems are not being removed by the Roblox company, but the accounts that are sitting there trying to protect the children, because it's quote unquote vigilante activity, they kick them off. And the Roblox statement was basically trying to sweep it under the rug because they don't want to have any sort of legal liability to do anything more to protect these kids.
Okay, so what do we do about it, Gabe? I mean, you know, my kids are adults, you know, at this point. They're not the ones targeted by this. But what do you do if you've got kids who are in that grade school, junior high, maybe high school age, or grandkids in those age groups? What do you do about it? Because I mean, some of what you just said, I completely understand. I'm sure you're accurate, but some of it, just because I didn't grow up those, it sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher to me.
Yeah.
I mean, to some degree, but just because of my lack of understanding.
Now, I'm still enough of a gamer that I can catch it, but certainly there's a lot of this that's going to go beyond most parents. Like, but most parents are not gamer nerds like me. So they're not going to catch this stuff. They're not really going to understand it. But think of it. I think if nothing else, think of your video games as just as much of a social threat to your kids as social media.
Yeah, because
itself.
we think of the game as just the game. I'm going to go on and shoot the basketball or chase the rabbit or do whatever you do in your game. I have one game that I play, and it's not online. It's on my phone, and to nobody's surprise,
it's baseball.
That's my baseball team.
Baseball,
I'm showing to the cameras right now. That's it. I do about 2 or 3 games a week on my baseball game, and so I'm not in this world.
Now, there are plenty of games that are like that, but a lot of games these days, especially now where kids are kind of starving for real world interactions, a lot of these games have a social media built-in element to it. So it's the game itself is just a vehicle for them to interact with at least what they believe to be other kids their age. So they come to rely on it. They come to see it as a means by which they can get any social interaction whatsoever. You got to remember, right now we're dealing with the COVID kids. We're dealing with the kids who were on lockdown when they were 7, right? So they are starved for social interaction. So when they go into these games that have a social element to them, they are very susceptible to the deceivers out there who are looking to exploit their vulnerability. So the only thing I can tell you, parents who aren't really particularly savvy on these things, treat the games the same way you treat social media. Be sure to keep an eye on who their friends are, who they interact with on a regular basis. Hey, tell me about the kid you were just playing with on your Roblox game. Is the same thing as, hey, tell me who's this character who you're chatting back and forth with on X or Twitter or whatever platform the kid likes to be on Instagram or things like that. Keep an eye on them. Their video games are just social media with a twist.
Yeah, and not to get too personal with my own experience, but again, people from this group that's the main one doing this stuff tried to prey on somebody that was connected to my life. And I've actually helped get some of these people off the streets in the past before I moved to Missouri. One of the biggest way is you find somebody that has self-esteem issues or potential eating disorder, whatever the case is, because they're not just going in this, they're going on other social media sites, looking in these groups, finding profiles of like, here's what else is connected. So I might be on Reddit, but I also have my Roblox account in my bio. Now they look for you in the game. So if you identify your child is acting a little bit more, or grandchild might be a little bit more reserved, if they something where they suddenly start acting a little bit more timid, whatever the kid, like they're hiding something, you can make a free Roblox account, go in the game, and just try to interact with them, and then you can see who they're interacting with that way. And that sometimes it's something as simple as that to identify that this group might be targeting your loved one.
Okay, so basically do some research. Any drastic change in behavior of your kid, because I've done a number of stories over the years with mental health professionals, and they have all said basically what you said. If there is a drastic change in behavior, in mood, long-term, everybody has bad days. That's what we're talking about. Then take note of that. So bottom line is, parents, you got to communicate with your kids and make sure you have that strong relationship.
Now, we've got more information on the failure of the city's emergency management team during the tornado. It turns out the problems that led to that debacle were long running before the storm hit. So we've got the details for you at 7:35.
I'm just a step away, I'm just a breath away, losing my faith today. I am just a man, not super.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Are you tired of chiropractors who rush treatments and overcharge? At Dr. Toby's place, Dr. Tobin Lingefelter takes a different approach.
I believe in listening to my patients, understanding their needs, and treating the whole person.
Whether it's back pain, headaches, or joint issues, Dr. Toby is committed to your complete wellness journey.
I'm not satisfied until you're feeling your best.
Dr. Toby's place, where your wellness journey begins. Call 314-221-4913 or visit softwavemo.com. That is softwave, W-A-V-E, mo.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
When a company decides to change its name, somebody or a group of somebodies decided the company would do better if we rebrand. I mean, if you're selling soup, but it's labeled sick, nobody wants to buy it. even if labeled tomato sick. Major companies have rebranded for a variety and strange reasons. Weight Watchers rebranded as WW, trying to move away from focusing on weight watching. Never mind. Philip Morris changed its official name to Altria, trying to show we offer more than cigarettes. Also a quick way to hide, we do sell cigarettes. So here comes MSNBC. NBC wants a divorce. Now there is an NBC, but MSNBC doesn't like that linkage. Whatever MS meant, they want out of it. So MSNBC will now become MS Now. The company president said, this rebranding underscores our mission for first-rate journalism. You think that changing MSNBC to just MS Now does that? I think they need another rebranding. BS Now?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the failures, and I mean plural, that resulted in St. Louisans not being warned about the tornado with the sirens. Turns out those were long-running. Turns out those were preventable. That is all according to the investigation commissioned by the city. And it pretty much all leads to the failure of one, they, them.
Yeah, really.
Sarah Russell. Now, you can say, but the administration that hired her and put her in that position also should be held accountable. Absolutely.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I 100% agree. But here's what's going on is that yesterday, which we told you in the news yesterday, Sarah Russell was facing a disciplinary hearing. She's been on paid leave, administrative leave for the last 3 months. And so in addition to that, the external report, which was commissioned by the city, the Carmody McDonald law firm, was commissioned to basically audit what happened and the best practices and the policies and the procedures and the chain of events. They turned in yesterday an 80-page report.
Oh my gosh.
80. And so among the things that they found was that the report, let me just quote here, the failure to activate the siren was not the end of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
The SEMA, City Emergency Management Agency, failed to implement the National Incident Management System and the Incident Command System frameworks. And don't ask me what those are supposed to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know they are required by law after an emergency incident happened, and neither of those were done, which is apparently what you start to get the emergency responders in there in the first place. But not only did the sirens not go off, there was no communication with the police or the fire department. And so the follow-up wasn't done as required by law.
Basically, the emergency management handbook was there. It exists and it's required by law, but the emergency management group did not use the emergency management handbook.
Well, and the handbook is deficient as well, according to this. And so let me just read part of this is from Channel 4. An evaluation of the city's outdoor warning siren system was conducted May 15th, the day before the tornado. They literally were testing some of the sirens. It found 22 of the city's 60 sirens were not functioning.
Jeez.
Wow.
11 of those non-functioning sirens were in the tornado's path.
Oh my gosh.
So
Come on.
even if they had hit the sirens, there was a long-running incompetence that they weren't working.
That is so crazy to me.
Don't we usually have like at the first of the month?
Yes.
So did they just not notice that some of their sirens were not going off through the tests, or what?
They for whatever reason, either they weren't tested or the tests weren't monitored the way they were. For some reason, they should have known and they didn't, or they did know and did nothing about it.
Yeah.
Those are the two possibilities. There are only two possibilities.
Yeah, pretty much.
They didn't know, or they did know and didn't do squat. So the statement the mayor put out said that the investigation, her words, makes it clear that there were breakdowns on several levels on May 16th, but also before and after. So in the aftermath of the tornado, and I'm reading from Channel 4 story again here, the city delegated control to the fire department for activating warrants. They took it away from SEMA.
Yeah, that's really what happened.
They really did. The siren system is now automatically activated by the National Weather Service. So the National Weather Service issues a warning, a tornado warning, that those sirens are going to go off, and the locals, basically can react to that like everybody else.
Right.
They are making repairs to the non-functioning sirens, but these are things that, again, they should have known, or either they did know and didn't do anything about. And so, the report did say that SEMA should have more funding and staffing, et cetera, et cetera.
I doubt.
Yeah. But it also says an incident response protocol, an annual audit of siren testing, an updated emergency operations plan, and an integration of the city emergency management agency under the fire or police department are all being recommended. Basically, the report is saying, from this report here, the investigation says you have to put somebody in charge of SEMA. It should not be its own independent agency, which the massive, massive failures that happened. And one of the interesting things on this, Gabe, is in the report, and I will just quote it. We were also troubled by Commissioner Russell's refusal during her interview to recognize the multiple failures or to take any personal responsibility for them. So at the end of the day here, not to use too much of a cliche, let me use another cliche. The bottom line is that this is a people problem.
Absolutely a people problem. There's if I'm in charge, if I'm Mayor Kara Spencer, no one in this office's job survives.
Right.
That like zero people. The janitor's going. Everybody in SEMA who currently has a job with SEMA will no longer have a job with SEMA in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If 2 weeks is required,
right.
Otherwise it's today. Get your stuff and go home.
Sarah Russell's fate has to be announced within 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday. They should announce today that she's fired.
Yes, absolutely,
and get her $100,000 salary and benefits off of the payroll here. So we know that her passion, based on what they put when she still had her page up on the city's website, because we looked it up.
Yeah.
Her passion was diversity, inclusion, pronouns, they, them, all this kind of garbage. So let me ask you this, my leftist friends. Does representation matter that much?
Yeah.
People died, and we now found out, frankly, we're lucky that more people didn't die.
Oh,
11 of the 22 non-functioning sirens were in the tornado's path. Half of the non-functioning sirens were in North City, where all the poor people live. And that's who was not served. So tell me again about why your representation is so damn important. It's not. Your representation doesn't mean squat. And I just say that because I can't say what I really want to say.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, give me a call at 314-912-1019. I'm going to tell you to screw off.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. there's nothing you said there that I disagree with.
Yeah.
We've gotten to the point now where the DEI stuff was it. I'll say it this way. We used to entertain the DEI stuff just a little. We used to like, all right,
okay,
fine.
you get the flamboyant one on the edge of the office,
okay,
whatever.
Sure. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like you can see yourself in the role, whatever. And we used to just kind of roll our eyes and go along with it, just because we were tired of you squawking. At this point, people are dead because of your bull crap. This is done. The DEI stuff, the equity inclusion stuff it's done. It's over. It's all about merit. We need people who are freaking competent to run our emergency agencies of all things. So yeah, you could. You can't
say that
I can't
word.
say
You
things
can't
on
say
the
that
radio.
word.
Okay,
You can't
say it on the radio
because I know what you're thinking. You can't say that word.
We're gonna reclaim sanity here.
Yes.
Now, you've probably heard the big news. President Trump is adding Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey to his administration, meaning the Show Me State is getting another new AG. We'll bring you the details at 8:05 just ahead in about 2 minutes. They've adopted the dictionary again. So do all the new words make sense?
Yeah.
No, but we'll tell you about them anyway.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hey, are you looking for windows that solve your problems and add value to your home? Renewal by Anderson has you covered. Anderson products increase the home value by at least 15%. Right now, get $329 off every window, $729 off every patio or entry door. And ask about our 0 interest plan for 3 years. Renewal by Anderson, the full-service replacement division of Anderson, a name you've trusted for over 122 years. Our exclusive FiberX frames, 200% stronger than vinyl. It's why we have more 5-star reviews than anyone in St. Louis. And only Renewal by Anderson backs it up with the nation's best warranty. Schedule your complimentary consultation now at rbastl.com or call 877-WINDOWS. 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Complete trivia question, useless information you did not need to know. This song from Mammoth WVH, which is Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang Van Halen.
Well, that explains why it's so good.
Yes. This is song number 2 on my pre-game playlist that I play every time I'm going to a baseball game.
I'm going to imagine Kickstart My Heart is number 1.
It's number 3, actually.
Oh!
Number 3. Yes. Ready for War by Adelita's Way is number 1 on there.
Would not have guessed that, but that's also solid.
Yes. Kickstart My Heart is number 3 on there. Then I get a whole bunch of 6 a.m. stuff, and then I get Velvet Revolver, and anyway. Again, information that's useless and you did not need to know. Just saying. Okay, so let's decompress here for a second because we got a bunch of heavy stuff again at 8:05 in the news dump. So if our language is a reflection of our society, I'm not sure we're going in the right direction, Gabe.
Oh, man.
Okay. So the Cambridge
Oh, man.
Dictionary has added a bunch of slang words and elevated them to recognized English language words. They are now officially part of the language.
This hurts my brain so badly.
Okay.
I mean, now granted, maybe I am sort of, because I am a little bit of a traditionalist and I like words. I've always kind of had an affinity for them. I'm a bit of a snob on this, but
Yes.
this stuff, boy.
This is basically taking the vernacular, the slang, which by definition, slang comes and goes. And they've said, nope, these are established enough that this is a reflection of actual, not formal, but actual recognized English. Now, there are a bunch of words on here I have never heard before in my life.
Yeah.
Number one on this list.
Yeah.
And this is Jerome in the last information segment goes, well, it better not be this word. Number one on the list. Skibbity.
Skibbity. Oh,
What is skibbity? What the hell is skibbity?
So I still don't know fully. All I know is it comes from this weird, stupid Gen Alpha Zoomer meme, and it picked up a lot of traction around the time of the like COVID going into the presidential election. And I don't know why or where or who, but it's like a TikTok thing.
Oh, it's a TikTok thing. That's the problem. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Now, of course, prior to that, I would have expected Yeet to kind of have the same.
I think that was last year.
Was that last year?
I
Did
think that
Yeet
was
get
last
actually
year, yeah.
added? I thought it might, because it's also meme based.
Yeah.
It's meme based and social media spread.
So according to the story I've got, they define it as, quoting here, a word that can have different meanings, such as cool or bad, or can be used with no real meaning as a joke, like, what the skibbity are you doing? Or that wasn't very skibbity riz of you.
Oh my gosh.
Huh?
Mike,
What?
you're hurting. You're
Yes.
hurting us. This is my
I am
kryptonite.
literally reading from there. Oh God. Okay. So the next one here, Delulu. Now, when I first heard the word Delulu, you know what I pictured?
What?
I pictured that this was the name of like an obese woman in a muumuu. That's what came to mind just by hearing the syllables Delulu.
So Delilah in a muumuu.
Right, yeah.
Delulu.
But it's just a twist on the word delusional.
Right. Yeah. It's short for delusional.
Yeah. Delusional.
Yeah.
So we've
Like-
shortened it by literally one syllable.
Well, like Riz is short for charisma, or it's a
Oh,
a
really?
play on charisma.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still kind of cringe, but you know,
Yeah. It's
but that one at least makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Delulu. Okay.
Delulu.
I mean,
Yeah. That's now an official word now.
See-
as opposed to you already have delusional. Why do you need Delulu?
yeah. I don't know. Maybe because being delusional has become such a really big and prolific thing in our society that we need a shortened word to use to describe all these kids.
I hated this at first, but my Scrabble and Boggle groups, I'm going to hit them by I'm going to yes.
Because
Get those word multipliers out.
because the words are because the rules are if it's in the dictionary,
That's
it's
right.
official. You
It
can
counts.
use it. Okay, so now this one I did know. Trad wife.
Yeah. I don't know why this is being accepted as a word, because it has a meaning.
Right.
It's a concatenation of two words.
Correct.
But why is it necessary? It's a completely unnecessary word.
Yeah, it is cramming together the words traditional wife.
Right. And of course, on a societal level, it's suggesting that there are non-traditional wives. Why don't we just have wife? And if you're not being a wife, you're not a wife. You know what I mean? It's like same thing for husband.
Yeah.
If you're not acting like a husband, maybe you're not a husband. As opposed to, well, there are trad husbands, and then there are the other husbands. I guess
Whatever the other ones
whatever
are.
that means. I don't know.
Okay, so now we're
but
getting,
maybe that's associated with number 7 on the list.
what's number 7? Yeah, I've never heard this word.
Yeah, I've never heard it either, but apparently it's a thing.
Nanoship.
Right.
Okay, this is described in the story as a very short romantic interaction with someone with no expectation it will lead to a real relationship. Isn't that just called a one-night stand?
It's a hookup. Yeah.
It's a hookup.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a one night stand, right?
But the thing is, the kids have to name everything.
We did name it. we call it. We used to call it a one night stand, and then you called it a hookup. So
right. Yeah, see,
nano ship.
They have because they feel like they've discovered all these things. They feel like they've it's like, oh my gosh, I've discovered this thing where you have a very short relationship. What should we call that? They actually act as though they discovered these things, so they have to name them.
That's not very Skibbity, Ohio, Riz.
Exactly.
Like, the future is now, old man.
Yeah.
Man.
If you have a nano ship, that it's definitely not with a trad wife.
No. Actually, somebody asked a question. Yeah, trad wife, according to this, is one word.
Yes,
not two words.
That's true.
One word.
I mean, I suppose. Yes, it's a concatenation of two words into one word. Yes, but why though? Why?
Okay, broligarchy.
Okay, I kind of like that one. What does that mean?
Okay, it's a term for tech bros who are extremely powerful and have or want political influence. So think Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
Okay, Mark Zuckerberg is definitely not a bro, but I can see Elon Musk fitting that.
Broligarchy.
The broligarchy.
That one.
So,
I'm not gonna oppose that.
So,
one.
am I aspiring to be part of the broligarchy?
Yes. Oh, you're totally.
I think that's actually what's happening.
You're
now.
a broligarchy in training.
There you go. All right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see here. Cardboard box index.
Okay. No,
it sounds like a factory worker term.
According to this, a way of measuring the health of the economy according to how many cardboard boxes are being produced or shipped.
Wow.
So kind of like there used to be The Economist. I don't know, The Economist magazine, if they still do it. They used to have basically the Big Mac index.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You know, so how much would a Big Mac cost you in all these different companies? Kind of a way of a creative way of telling you how much the dollar's worth right now.
Right.
So the number of boxes being produced. Okay. So from an economics geek, I kind of see it, except cardboard boxes can be the pair of toenail clippers. It can also be the car.
I mean, yeah, because if you're not shipping things, then you don't need, boxes. If you're not moving into housing or, you don't, so that one actually, I guess, makes kind of sense. It's just very odd.
Suppose. I mean, I guess, especially in the Amazon era where we're having everything shipped to us in a cardboard box, then it has more weight to it than it used to be. I thought maybe cardboard box index was the way you measure how good the box was and whether or not you need to keep it.
Because it's a good box.
Because it's a good box.
I mean, career catfishing. Apparently people do this. Have you heard this one?
Yeah.
No, but I think I get the concept.
Yeah. So you accept a job and then you don't show up. You ghost them.
Now, I'm not sure if that's catfishing or
they call that career catfishing, which sounds to me like just being an a-hole.
Yeah, that's pretty much, or I thought it might be like misrepresenting yourself.
Yeah.
Now, 13, man-interrupting. Interrupting a woman when she's speaking, usually because the man thinks he has something more important to say. But shouldn't they have like woman bustering when a woman won't stop talking?
Is your backyard a battleground every evening? Swatting, itching, kids running back inside? Hey, Tim Jones here. I just found out about a new local company, Mosquito Nix, that can take care of all that and more. They offer permanent automatic mosquito and tick protection, not just fogging, real coverage you don't have to think about. They've helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Now they're offering a free fogging treatment to introduce themselves to St. Louis families. Call 636-698-1980 now or visit mosquitonix.com. Say goodbye to bug bites this summer. Service area restrictions do apply. Tell them Tim Jones sent you. Ask about their back-to-school special. St. Louis summers don't last forever, but mosquito bites shouldn't either. Call 636-698-1980. Visit mosquitonix.com. That's mosquitonix.com. This is a limited time offer.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get
get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump hopes for a deal to end the war in Ukraine in a matter of weeks. He's sounding cautiously optimistic after he welcomed Ukrainian President Zelensky back to the White House in a bid to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Sitting side by side in the Oval Office, the two presidents expressed hope that White House talks, which include European leaders, could lead to a future three-way meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin.
If everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
Donald Trump also said he supports European security guarantees for Ukraine, though he stopped short of committing U.S. troops to the effort. Greg Clugston, the White House.
A long stretch of the East Coast is seeing thundering surf and hazardous rip currents as a result of Hurricane Erin. The Cat 3 storm making its way north, well offshore. Several more Republican governors have authorized the deployment of National Guard troops to Washington.
Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana are the latest states sending National Guard troops to the nation's capital. Those states' Republican governors joining their counterparts in Ohio, West Virginia, and South Carolina in backing President Trump's show of force in Washington, aimed at cracking down on crime and boosting immigration enforcement. The number of Guard troops detailed to D.C. now totals more than 1,100. About 800 troops had already been called up from the D.C. National Guard. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Some welcome news for air travelers. There is a tentative contract agreement to end the three-day strike by 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants. Canada's largest airline says that flights will resume this evening. The deal will pay workers for work that's performed while the planes are on the ground. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures up 82 points, NASDAQ futures down 55. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Mike Ferguson.
Look at that guy, how handsome he is.
Gabe Phifer.
I don't really care, Margaret.
Get up, St. Louis.
Don't be kind. Don't be gentle. Pimp slap the tut-tutters.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This is your cousin.
Whew, good God, there's a lot going on today.
Skibbity.
Oh, my. Stop it.
You're not going to rizz up Mike like that,
Gonna go home to my trad wife.
Can I go home now?
Okay, real quick. I just want to, because they're trying to defend Zuckerberg being part of the oligarch. I don't
Yeah.
care if he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's not the Karate Kid. I can take him. Okay?
Oh, man. Here's what's going on in the news. Mr. Bailey goes to Washington, and we're going to find out who his replacement is in less than 2 hours. And some congressional Republicans are still claiming they're working on getting that Epstein file information to us. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And there is a big change in that St. Charles data center story. This is interesting. All right, 8:06 right now. Let's dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Missouri is getting a new attorney general as Andrew Bailey is headed to Washington. Bailey confirmed on social media last night that he will become co-deputy director of the FBI alongside Dan Bongino, both of them then reporting to Kash Patel. His, meaning Bailey's, last day in office as attorney general will be September 8th. Governor Kehoe will announce his pick for attorney general at 10 a.m. this morning, so just under 2 hours from right now. The new appointment will be Missouri's third attorney general in 6 years. I'm pretty sure they're going to be live streaming that at mo.gov or at governor.mo.gov's website. So if you want to watch that directly, you can easily find that online. The question I've got is, who do you want to see picked to be the replacement? And we've had a lot of names that have been sent in. The rumor mill is all centering on one name. I don't know if that's correct or true or not. We'll find out at 10 o'clock. But there's a lot of names that have been thrown around here. All right. That massive data center project in St. Charles, that project is shut down. It's not happening, at least for right now. The developer has pulled plans for that 440-acre Cumulus project, which they wanted to build near 370 and Harry S. Truman Boulevard. Now, they pulled that project the day before the city council was scheduled to vote on the plan, and that vote was supposed to happen today. Multiple reports said that they thought it was not going to pass anyway. Mayor Dan Borgmeyer told Fox 2 that residents had good reasons to be concerned about the plan.
The project kept getting bigger and bigger, and the information kept getting smaller and smaller. We knew we were having a transparency problem.
Now, here's what he means by that. Cumulus and city officials had signed a non-disclosure agreement about the project, keeping many details from the public view. And I said this earlier today, and I'll say it again. Listen, I've been appointed and served on a planning and zoning commission. I've been elected to a board of aldermen before. I've been in those positions. If you have a non-disclosure agreement where somebody says, don't tell the public about this big thing, you got a problem. You got a red flag.
Yeah, really.
Even if the project itself is something that's going to be beneficial, if they come to you and say, don't tell your people about this, that's a problem. And honestly, city officials should have never been involved with a non-disclosure to hide something from the public that should have been public information.
Secrets are bad.
Yep. For the most part. Yeah. Among the other reasons, the pushback in the community is that the estimated 5 million gallons of water the project would have dumped into Darting Creek if it were to be built. That's 5 million gallons a day. That would have been dumped into that. Developers might bring a revised plan back at some other point, but they may just pack up and go look somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And if they do, I think transparency is going to be key for them to actually get it past whatever city they try to end up getting to.
Yep. All right. The report commissioned by City Hall in St. Louis on the failures of the City Emergency Management Agency is released. And that report says things went wrong long before the tornado hit on May 16th. Among the many problems found was a lack of communication between SEMA and first responders, both fire and police. No clear policy on how to react in a situation like a tornado, which you would think is the number one job of SEMA. And also the agency employees being absent during the emergency, which we already knew about. The report also says post-emergency protocols, which are actually required by law, I did not know that until today, were not activated. Emergency Management Commissioner Sarah Russell was put on leave after the failures. The investigators in that report say, and I'm quoting here, "We are troubled by Commissioner Russell's refusal during her interview to recognize the multiple failures or to take any personal responsibility for them. There is absolutely zero excuse to keep Sarah Russell in that job. She should be fired immediately."
Absolutely. I think everybody in that department needs to be fired.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk here. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on this Epstein stuff here. The House Oversight Committee Chairman, Congressman James Comer, speaking with reporters on Capitol Hill as the committee interviews former Attorney General Bill Barr. And that's, of course, regarding the release of files related to convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The committee chairman criticizing Democrats for accusing President Trump of involvement in Epstein's crimes. And he says the former AG, meaning Bill Barr, spoke about those claims.
He believed if there had been anything pertaining to President Trump with respect to the Epstein list, that he felt like the Biden administration would have probably leaked it out.
Okay, so here's where we are at this point. The Oversight Committee has also subpoenaed former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, in addition to former officials across multiple past administrations. At this point, and maybe this is something that Andrew Bailey is going to be involved with, but this has been a source of frustration. Dan Bongino said it very publicly as well. At this point, the Trump administration has the ability to release all of those files.
Yeah.
They've already acknowledged they have them before they said they didn't have them and said it was a hoax, but they've acknowledged they've had them. We know they exist. We know they're there. At this point, the Trump administration is just, for whatever reason, choosing not to release that information to the public.
It's weird and I don't like it.
No, they need to, for all the stuff that's going right in that administration, this is a big stain on this, and this is something that needs to be done yesterday. Okay, quick follow-up. Your child's or your grandchild's video game may pose a big danger, and that danger is allowing groomers and predators access to the kids. That's why Louisiana's Attorney General is taking the owners of one hugely popular game to court.
Liz Merle says Roblox, the children's video gaming platform, is a haven for child predators. Roblox is immensely popular with young people, and for that reason, Merle has filed suit against it, charging it with failing to establish even the most basic safety protocols for its customers. The AG says, quote, users can easily say they are younger or older than their actual age, allowing child predators to pose as children and for children to bypass any age requirement. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Okay, so the bottom line is good old-fashioned, be in communication with your kids and know who they're talking to online.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing we could do. Now, what I would like our government to do, not necessarily make laws, but certainly actually have an operation, an ongoing operation to monitor that type of stuff. If you want to find the groomers, we know where they are. Just go get them.
All right, Texas Democrats returning to their state on Monday after they were gone for 2 weeks being on the road. That ended the effort to stall the passage of redrawn congressional maps that are going to flip 5 Democratic seats into Republican seats. Texas Governor Greg Abbott lays out when he expects those maps to be approved. He was on Hannity on Fox News Channel.
The House committee already passed those maps out, and those congressional maps are going to pass out on the House floor on Wednesday. They've already passed out of the Senate. They will become law probably by the end of this week.
Get this. Most of the Democratic lawmakers have been assigned to an officer, law enforcement officer, to ensure they don't leave the state again.
Wow. Okay.
They've assigned a police babysitter for the Democrats.
You're going to follow them around.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And of course, California Governor Gavin Newsom announcing that voters are going to decide this year whether congressional maps in his state will be redrawn to counter Texas's and give Democrats 5 more seats in California, which would make it a wash.
Right.
Missouri, rather, is talking about giving Republicans 1 more because California says we're responding to Texas. Texas has been responding to California and New York and Illinois and all the others. And so we've got this basic body politic death spiral that's happening.
You think any more red states are going to announce their redrawing?
I think they're going to be under a lot of pressure to do it, and we'll see what happens.
I imagine.
Yeah. All right. The Animal Protective Association is expanding into North County. This is kind of cool news. The APA purchased property on Benham Road to add adoption, veterinary care, and community programs in that region. So once they build it and open it, it's going to be called APA North. I can tell you there is an APA close to my house, the one in Brentwood. That's where we got our cat. They do really, really good work. Construction is scheduled on APA North to begin early next year. Their goal is opening in 2027.
Right. Yep.
All right. The Cardinals get a win on the road. They beat the Marlins. Final score 8-3 in Florida. Alec Burleson had 2 RBI singles, and Nolan Gorman hit a 2-run home run. The same 2 teams play this evening. First pitch is at 5:40 our time. Michael McGreevy is scheduled to start on the mound for the Redbirds.
Inspiration, you have a soul sown dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination, making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now, I have had enough of this.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's a cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up!
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right. The big question in Missouri is going to be who's next. We're going to find out who Missouri's next attorney general is a little over an hour and a half from right now.
Well, would this also constitute who's next to go to the federal government?
Yeah, maybe.
That pipeline's working, man.
Yeah, we've got this pipeline that's happening. My goodness. Okay, so you probably know this by now. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey now joining the ranks of the FBI. So President Trump essentially created a position, created a job in order to recruit Andrew Bailey into his administration. So Andrew Bailey, the current attorney general, is going to become the co-deputy director of the FBI. So here's how that hierarchy is going to go. Pam Bondi, obviously, attorney general, then Kash Patel, director of the FBI, and then split into two side by side, Dan Bongino and Andrew Bailey.
Yep.
As deputy co-directors of the FBI.
That's what the org chart looks like.
What does that mean in
Right.
practice? I don't know. And there's a lot of speculation that's happening. So essentially, you've got a couple of different theories here. Let's start there, then let's get to Jefferson City here.
Sure.
The theories are there's just a massive workload and there's a huge amount of reform that needs to happen. There's a huge amount of corruption. There's a huge amount of prosecution and investigation needs to happen. It takes more than one person, and therefore Andrew Bailey is coming to take some of that load and take some of that off Dan Bongino so that they just do more.
Entirely possible,
Very
entirely
possible.
plausible, really.
Very possible.
That Dan Bongino got in there and he looked at everything. He's like, "You want me to do all of this?"
Yes.
It's like, come on, I need some help.
Holy crap, it's as bad as we said it was. You know, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
that is absolutely possible.
Mm-hmm.
Another theory that you're saying thrown out there is Dan Bongino's already expressed that he's been frustrated and dismayed, particularly when it comes to the Epstein cover-up, which continues to this day, tragically.
Quote, we can't run a republic this way.
Right. And so there's a question as to whether or not Dan Bongino may be looking for an exit strategy and Andrew Bailey is there to keep the things running. I have no clue whatsoever which one of those is right. But I do know that Andrew Bailey, since his appointment as Attorney General and then overwhelmingly elected Attorney General, has been one of the most aggressive prosecutorial attorneys general in the country. And he's also been among the most loyal to Donald Trump. So it doesn't surprise me that Donald Trump wants a guy like Andrew Bailey in his administration.
Yeah. I mean, people have described it as like a bulldog or attack dog, something like that. Have you ever seen a Belgian Malinois?
Those are like huge, like
those are the meat missiles.
Yes.
Those are the ones that run up walls and they do all that kind of stuff. He's basically that version of the attack dog AG.
Right.
So I could definitely see a Trump administration who's looking to do some big things, major shakeups in Washington, D.C.
And he's got 3 years left to do it.
Yeah. Looking at a guy like that, it's like, I need him on my team. I suppose that would be a good reason to make a position for him.
Well, and the reality is that Donald Trump basically becomes a lame duck within 2 years.
That's
from
true.
Right now, within
That's
a year
true.
and a half.
Within
really.
a year and a half. I mean, assuming
Yeah.
that the control of Congress flips as it usually does in middle of a term.
And even if it doesn't, everybody's looking towards the next election,
That's true.
including the presidential candidates, and you're moving on to what's next. And that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's talk about what's happening in Missouri. The rumor mill, I will tell you, the rumor mill of the media folks and the people who think they know everything, and sometimes they get it right and sometimes they don't, they keep coming back to the name Catherine Hanaway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Catherine Hanaway, she was the first female speaker, the only female speaker of the House of Representatives of Missouri. She's obviously Republican.
Mhm.
She ran for governor. She didn't make it. She lost in the primary the year that Eric Greitens was elected. She's been a federal prosecutor, as Tim Jones pointed out a little bit earlier. And, she's in a very high-powered law firm now. So the rumor is that at 10 o'clock, she's going to be named the successor to Andrew Bailey. And when he leaves on September 8th, that she would then be sworn in and take over. Now, I don't know if that's correct or not. Other names that have been thrown out there. Tony Lutkemeyer, the state senator, David Gregory, the state senator from right here, Nick Schroer, who told us earlier today, I'm here in St. Louis. I'm not in Jefferson City. Read that. Is that what you mean? Which basically means, no, it ain't me. Somebody else had said Tim Jones. We have heard a couple other names. What were some of the other names that were thrown out there? We've had several that were put out there. Kurt Schaefer's name was out there. I will tell you this, is that I think that the appointment is going to tell us which direction Mike Kehoe wants to take state government.
Right.
Because the Attorney General's office, while every statewide office has a specific set of duties, the Attorney General's office, other than the governor, has his or her hands in a lot more things than the other statewide offices do.
True.
And so I think this will tell us something. If he picks more of an establishment Republican type, that'll send a message to the Republican base and also to the grassroots, good or bad. If he names somebody who is conservative and aggressive, like Andrew Bailey, like Eric Schmidt, then I think he's signaling to the grassroots and the conservative base, yes, I meant it. I'm here with you. So this time tomorrow, we're going to debating we're going to be debating what the meaning of the person he picked is, whoever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And all I can go on is what the people in Jefferson City and the media are telling us. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. I don't know who's going to be named in just about an hour and a half.
Right. Yeah. And there's also, I think, something to be said about the difference in the way a candidate might behave as AG versus as a legislator. Like maybe they're actually, kind of timid as a legislator. Maybe they hold back a lot. Maybe they compromise a lot. But as AG, they feel the need to go full on. You know what I mean? We could see very different personalities being evoked in those different positions. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm certainly hopeful that whoever ends up in that position has an equal or greater level of aggression, and
which is going to be hard to do after Andrew Bailey and Eric Schmidt.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
back to back, they've been something.
They have been really, really aggressive on the right reasons and going after government entities. I mean, they've also gone after, fraudulent businesses and all the things that you would expect. But Eric Schmidt really set the tone for going after schools that were illegally doing mask mandates, for going after, for instance, St. Louis County for all of Sam Page's illegal orders and mandates and things like that, and shutdowns and things like that. And Andrew Bailey has stepped in and put his own, twist on all of that. And he's been very aggressive and very conservative.
Yeah, there are still a number of schools out there who are defying, state law in various things that need to get, need to get got, as they say.
Well, we talked about that yesterday with Congressman Bob Onder. There's at least one school in the Parkway School District that, pictures were taken and showed, and they are using school property to promote the LGBT, whatever agenda with school billboards, so they are still violating not just federal law, but state law as well, because they feel that they're more powerful and above the law, because that's what the left wing does. And your K through 12 schools are captured ideologically by the left, which is exactly why I want an attack dog as attorney general. I don't want somebody who's going to go into the attorney general's office just to go along to get along and to say, well, let's not rile up the teachers unions. Screw the teachers unions. Rile them up.
Yes, absolutely. And Bailey has been really good about that. He's like, no, it's like, if you violate state law, I'm coming after you. And some of these things are like, they were immediate. I remember talking with him about one case that had just come up in the news. And it was like within a day or two, there was a letter from his office to them to say, hey, the lawsuit's coming next if you don't do that. And I remember the lawsuit coming next.
That's right.
It was like he gave him a deadline. They didn't meet it. And he came right with the lawsuit. So it's like, I want that.
Yeah. Did he win all of his cases? No. He's got a mixed record as far as wins and losses go.
Sure.
But he's gone on the attack. Like, for instance, he has not won the abortion cases.
Right.
But the reality is that the voters passed a horrible amendment to the Constitution, and he's fighting what he can. And so the left is kind of mocking Andrew Bailey for losing those cases. Well,
they're accomplishing, I think, what they're intended.
Yeah, their intention was to, absolutely make Missouri the most radical pro-abortion state, and Andrew Bailey has proven himself to be very pro-life.
Right.
So he's fighting, what he can.
Yeah, and those lawsuits were intended to slow everything down.
Right.
They were intended to gum up the works while we get our Amendment 3, the new Amendment 3 fix. Right. So he's actually, those losses are wins in a different way. So yeah, I mean, and in other instances, he's been really good about keep holding these various agencies accountable to us and the laws that we have passed through our representatives.
So now here's the question: is Andrew Bailey going to be allowed to be that attack dog when it comes to something like the Epstein files?
And that's a really good question.
Now he's taking orders from the top down, and right now the administration is keeping those things behind closed doors. They're keeping those under wraps, and that's the frustration I think that Dan Bongino has expressed.
Yep.
So the question now is going to be, Andrew Bailey is going to be not a foot soldier. He's going to be a lieutenant. If Pam Bondi's the general, Kash Patel is whatever is below that, vice general, whatever, that's not a real position, colonel. He's going to be a lieutenant. So what is he going to be able to do with those prosecutorial skills and that aggression that he has shown over the years?
Yeah, it's a really good question, considering that, when Dan Bongino was tapped, right, and he went up there, we were like, oh, Dan's an attack dog.
Yeah,
right.
And he is.
He's going to go. He is. I think still, but there are only so many things you can do if you're. Now, I don't want to say just a lieutenant, but really, if you're just a lieutenant, and the general is saying something different, what else are you going to do?
Right.
So I think the other half of it, I suppose, is that he's going to be put in a precarious situation when it comes to the Epstein files.
Maybe. My hope is that he's cut loose and allowed to go after it.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on this show many times. Andrew's been on the show a number of times. I've hung out with him in person at events like at the St. Louis City Republicans. I've had him in a couple of times. And so I think he's one of the good ones. I think he's aggressive in all the right ways. I hope that is unleashed and is not leashed in Washington, D.C.
Now, if you want to unleash yourself, you've got the chance to speak out about property taxes and the need to get that burden off our backs tomorrow. We'll tell you about that at 8:35.
I know your anger. I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm a cult of personality.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On NewsTalkSTL.
I'm a cult of personality.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clock is ticking on this heat wave as a cold front finally arrives this afternoon and this evening. But ahead of that front, one more intensely hot and humid day. 94 this afternoon, heat index up to about 104 in St. Louis. Now, stray shower storm is possible this morning, but let's be ready for scattered storms this afternoon and early evening. Some strong winds possible under the more intense storms. Dry overnight, partly cloudy down to 73. Not as hot tomorrow, 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
88% of students report faking their views to fit in. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
How many young people enter higher education with conservative views and leave as full-blown communists? Well, a deep dive study conducted at Northwestern and the University of Michigan is shedding new light. Turns out 88% of students felt compelled to adopt a more progressive facade in order to fit in and be accepted. The researchers went on to say that in a campus environment where grades, leadership, and pure belonging often hinge on fluency and performative morality, young adults quickly learn to rehearse what is safe. The trouble is, this facade, when performed long enough, starts to take over. So here's my advice to parents. Teach your kids from a very early age to stand up for what they believe in. Condition them to be critical thinkers, but to always maintain their convictions. That's the only way to college-proof your students and help prevent them from falling into that 88% of campus fakers. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Are uneven concrete surfaces causing you headaches? Polytime Concrete Leveling and Restoration has the solution. We're a veteran and family-owned business offering long-lasting solutions for all your concrete problems. From precision concrete leveling to our superior restoration services, our precision polyjacking outperforms traditional mudjacking any day. Call Polytime at 636-487-3282 for a free estimate or visit itspolytime.com. Mention NewsTalkSTL and get $125 off any job of $600 or more, or 10% off your service.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have?
Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, you got a beef about the property taxes that are kind of beating up your wallet?
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do. Well, you can have your say to some Missouri lawmakers this week, and it's happening right here in the Metro. Matter of fact, it's happening on Wednesday. It is 8:35. We have reported on the creation of basically a special committee. The Speaker of the House selected some state representatives to go around the state, collect testimony, hear from people, hear from groups, representatives groups regarding property taxes in particular, because while we may be tempted to say, well, clearly everybody wants us to reduce property taxes or eliminate property taxes, don't assume that's all the case. We're going to be up against some very, very entrenched institutions in the state. I am now joined by Dennis Ganal from Mo Tax Relief Now. Dennis, let me start with what's happening on Wednesday in the St. Louis region. This is happening in Clayton, happening at the community center on Gay Street. What is the hearing going to entail? And then I want to get into why people should be interested in making time to get out there and make their voice heard.
Okay. Well, good morning, Mike and Gabe. So Wednesday night, as you described, the House of Representatives is going to have a committee of probably 20 plus people will be in attendance. And the idea is to get testimony from people about their experiences with property taxes and appraisals and the whole process. Because the goal is to create a reform legislation, either for the fall veto session or special session, but we're primarily looking at 2026. Mm-hmm.
And they're coming in basically in theory with a blank slate on this. Now, everybody's going to have their own opinions on this, but we can't assume that there's no reason to worry about it, because people like you and people who share the views that I have and others who don't like property taxes, that we're going to flood them and we're going to tell them that we got to get rid of property taxes, or we have to reduce them, or we have to cap them. But the reality is that they're likely also going to hear from a number of government entities, school boards, fire districts, libraries, things like that, that have a vested interest in making sure they can increase property taxes as much as they want. So what are the things that these lawmakers need to hear at this hearing?
Well, they've been hearing it. The first panel they had was in Jefferson City, and literally the first 50 minutes were, librarians, ambulance drivers, fire departments. Nobody, interesting, 70% of our property taxes go to schools, but nobody showed up from the school districts. And they're all saying that you can't, end property taxes, that you can't limit property taxes, that it's important to keep the revenue coming. And then we had, citizens start taking a stand, but primarily in Jefferson City, to be honest, it was all the government taxing authorities that were there representing, except for us and some of the others. So, but I understand when they've been out state, they've been to Lebanon, they've been in Kansas City, I think they're heading to Macon, that they've been getting more testimony from people. So we need to flood the zone Wednesday night at 5:30.
All right, and we'll give out the specifics of that here in just a few minutes. We're visiting with Dennis Ganal from Mo Tax Relief Now. Okay, so what's the right way to be calling for this? So if somebody says, wait a minute, You mean there are people demanding more taxing? Yeah, there's always somebody in government demanding more taxes. What's the right message that they need to hear? Not just we don't like it, or I'm sick and tired of it and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. What's the right, reasonable message to get the right reforms?
I think it's a simple message, Mike. We can't afford it, right? I mean, so what they want to do is they set their idea on taxes as versus more tax relief. Now, our idea on taxes is it's what we can afford to pay. It's not what they want to spend. And, like right now, Rockwood School District just filed, and with the MEC, they're going to get ready to try and add another 45 cents onto your property taxes. Everybody, every year, are just dunning us for more and more money. And what we need to do is figure out a way to, like you said, cap the amount of increases people are getting. We get emails, hundreds of emails from people that just can no longer afford the property taxes.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry. Good. Yeah.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, just to remind everybody, you mentioned 5:30 this evening. This is happening at the center of Clayton, which is on Gay Avenue in obviously Clayton. That's going to be the St. Louis version of this. And so this is going to be, from what I can tell, the only stop in this area here. So how does this process work? How does this procedure work? Because my guess is there's going to be a lot of people who are mad as hell and don't want to take it anymore, Dennis. They want to have their voice heard, but they can be really intimidated with a formal hearing. So kind of deconstruct that a little bit. Somebody who says, well, I'm just a taxpayer. Well, that's exactly who they need to hear from. What's the right way to get your thoughts organized to present to them and give your perspective that's going to have, in a way that's going to have an impact?
Well, what we're encouraging people to do is come tell their horror story. And so you're going to have to, when you get to the meeting, you're going to have to sign up to speak. So you have to get a piece of paper and you put your name on it and say whether you're, whether you oppose, reforming property taxes or whether you support reforming property taxes. And then you put your horror story together. Like my horror story, this year, my appraisal went up 29%. So I went to I appealed it the first time, and they reduced it to a 20% increase. No real explanation as to why it should go down 9%, but they took it down 9%. I appealed it again to the Board of Equalizations. Well, they took it down another 8%. There's no rhyme or reason why my property went up 29%. They gave me, of my 5 comparables, 4 of them were out of my subdivision. When I replaced those 4 comparables with my 4 comparables from in my subdivision, it dropped my increase down to what should be about 3%. To give you a sense. So that's a horror story, right?
Yeah, it really is. And that's the thing, is the burden is on us to appeal to the very people who are trying to milk us for every penny that we've got. And so the entire system is rigged.
That's right. The appraisal process is a fraud. I mean, they talk about, that they never make it transparent. We don't understand how they develop their algorithms. How come Sam Page can be down, to 2015 levels and the rest of us are all up 75%? It's a fraud, and it's a fraud across the state. We feel that instead of using appraisals, what we should use is just a sale price. Whatever you bought your home for, that becomes your base for property taxes until you sell it.
Yeah, that would make sense. What are some other reforms that we should be pushing for, if not at this event on Wednesday in Clayton, in the upcoming legislative session as well, because they're going to take what they hear Wednesday into the next session? Because I think you're right. I don't think they're going to deal with this in any special session. I think we're looking at 2026. So if flipping from appraisal, because that's just the opinion of the real estate company, to be real honest, or the real estate industry, essentially, that's what the assessors use a lot. So in addition to that, which may or may not happen, what are some other areas we could expand some form of tax relief in the state?
Well, I think what we can do is we can cap taxes too, right? So we don't have to, like 2% or, every year. That's manufactured government inflation, 2 or 5%, whichever's lower. That's manufactured government inflation. So we'd like to cap things at no more than 1% per year, and get the government out of the inflation equation. So that would be another thing that we would like to do. And we'd like to get it equal across the state, so that we're in St. Louis County, we're being, our properties appraisals are at what they claim is 90 to 110% of market value. Well, there's some places in Missouri, some counties in Missouri, where that's more like 30% or 40% of market value, because they don't do certificates of value. So we think that would be a good thing to include also, is that every county would report their sale price on the property. And we think that that would be a good, that would make it fair across the state, because what's happening now is when their school districts are underfunded by their property taxes, well, they take the general revenue from the state of Missouri, which we're all paying into, and they pay those schools. So some of the schools are, getting $9,000 for students. Some of the schools get $4,000 for students. Then the state comes in and makes it up.
So really what we're talking about with this entire property tax debate, or any tax debate, is whether or not we're going to have government first thinking or people first thinking. Because when you talk about in Jefferson City, Dennis, you're talking about, the librarians showing up and the emergency first responders showing up, things that most people would say, well, yeah, we need those things, but they don't get a blank check. And that's essentially what it sounds like they're arguing for, is don't ever limit our ability to write a blank check just by raising taxes. So the bottom line is we're deciding who gets to make the budget cuts. Is it going to be government, or is it going to be people? Is it going to be people first, or is it going to be government first?
That's exactly right, Mike. That's exactly where we are in this country. And that's why everybody's so furious, is we've got government employees that are making better money. We've got government employees that are than the private sector. We've got government employees that have better benefits packages than the private employees. And they're the ones that are determining how much money they're going to take from us in taxes every year.
Yeah. This is one area where I could you can tell I'm worked up, because first of all, I think property taxes are completely immoral. Secondly, the way that these immoral taxes are implemented is completely rigged. And now we're in a position basically to beg the government to give us some relief from a rigged system, when what we need to be doing is blowing up the entire system and starting from scratch and redoing it.
That's exactly right, Mike.
Yeah. All right.
That's where we are in Missouri.
Yeah. So how do we learn more about what you all are doing? Because you're keeping your finger on the pulse, really, frankly, better than anybody else I've seen in the state right now, Dennis. So people want to connect with what you're doing, or they've got their own horror story, or they're going to need some help, maybe, advocating for themselves at the county level or the state level, or maybe even city level, depending on where they are. What's the way to be in touch?
Well, if they go on to our website, and which is motaxreliefnow.org, they can sign up, and we send out emails weekly to every other week. When things are popping like they are right now with hearings and property taxes, we're sending out weekly emails, and that's where they can keep up with what's happening around the state and locally what's going on. That's the easiest way to keep in touch with us. They can also email us through that website and ask us questions. We've worked with like almost 60 counties in Missouri now. We've got almost 80% of all Missourians that are under the property tax freeze. So we've really been getting a lot done this year.
Yeah. And what do you make of, real quick before I let you go, in St. Louis County, man, what's been the deal with this dragging out so long? They're still trying to process these applications that have come in months ago on this. What's the status on that, of the people who have applied for the property tax freeze?
Well, we went to the hearing of the meeting of the whole last week that was called by Dennis Hancock. Mm-hmm. And so he wanted to take a look at the senior property tax freeze. Frankly, we were very unimpressed with the Department of Revenue and where it is in just executing it and approving people. They're much further behind than anybody knew, number one. Number two, we've been asking for attorneys to sue St. Louis City and St. Louis County because the way they have implemented the freeze is illegal. St. Louis City, every part of their implementation is illegal. And now they've been sued by a guy named Pat Haggerty. Mm-hmm. And St. Louis County, what is illegal here is they didn't freeze bond indebtedness. And, Representative Keithley showed up that day and explained to them, based on the letter of the law and the legislation intent, that what they've done is illegal because bond indebtedness is included in the bill. And they've done that in other counties across Missouri too. But it was a way for the Missouri Association of Counties to make things hazy and give counties a way to try and not freeze everything for the school districts and such like that.
Yeah, and then you also got the Missouri Tax Commission now threatening local elected officials, saying you will raise tax valuations or property valuations in order to raise those bills. So we've got the establishment just fighting against us tooth and nail pretty much everywhere here.
Oh, that's another. I mean, we could go on a whole morning. Yeah. That's another story, Mike. On the Missouri State Tax Commission. That's exactly right. I mean, they went in and basically threatened 85 counties with withholding state money unless they brought their appraisals up to 90 to 110%. And you might ask, well, where did we get this 90 to 110%? Well, where they got that is from an organization called IAAO, which is the International Association of Assessing Officers. They're not even a government group. It's just some, trade group of assessing officers that are located in Kansas City. They're international. They've got DEI posted up. They support DEI on their website. And those are the people that are telling the Missouri State Tax Commission that our property taxes appraisals need to be 90 to 110%. So, I mean, I'm not even sure what the Missouri State Tax Commission did is legal.
Yeah, hopefully they get slapped down for that. All right, Dennis Ganal from MoTax Relief Now, motaxreliefnow.org is the website to go to. Appreciate the update. I'm sure we'll be calling on you again soon, Dennis.
Hey, you're always great to us, Mike, Gabe. Thank you.
You got it. All right. And of course, anything that starts with international and then fill in the blank, I'm usually going to go, no. You don't get to write the rules for us around here. If you're international something, I don't really care what you have to say. Just, you're going to have to convince me. But to say that that was new information for me, to say that the Missouri Tax Commission is responding to pressure from an international association. No, absolutely. How about you respond to the people of Missouri?
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You are a bully?
On News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, they're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Civia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, Jamie Ullman here with my common sense brother, Rob Very, owner of STL Bath and Renovation. And let me tell you something, your home is your castle, but so is your bathroom. Rob, how can you make it beautiful?
Jamie, if you're tired of cleaning, you love the tile, but you hate the grout, we can give you man-made or natural stone in your bathroom for your floors and walls, but no grout. Easy to maintain.
And beautiful. All kinds of selections as well.
More than you can count.
STLBR.com, St. Louis Bath and Renovation, STLBR.com. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Jamie.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Property tax reform is a huge deal to most Missourians, which is why we'll have David Stokes and Niall Stevens on to discuss on Tuesday's show.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, so less than 24 hours from now, we are going to be talking about the new incoming Attorney General for the state of Missouri to replace Andrew Bailey.
Yep.
Probably have some sound bites from him or her.
Some pretty big shoes to fill, if you ask me.
Right. And Andrew Bailey, of course, you've heard the news by now, headed to Washington to work in the Trump administration. Missouri state government seems to be just kind of a pipeline right to Washington, D.C. So a lot of names thrown out there. In just over 1 hour, about 1 hour and 5 minutes, the governor is going to announce his pick, because the way that this works in the Missouri Constitution is when there is a vacancy, because somebody like, for instance, Eric Schmidt created a vacancy when he was elected to the United States Senate, so he had to resign. And so Andrew Bailey was appointed there. If somebody resigns from office, like, for instance, let's see here, Josh Hawley resigned when he was elected as well. If somebody, God forbid, were to pass away while in office, the governor then picks the replacement. Governor Mike Parson selected somebody for almost every single statewide office during his tenure.
Wow.
Because he became the governor when Eric Greitens resigned. And then he had to pick a lieutenant governor, which was Mike Kehoe. And then he appointed Vivek Malik to be the state treasurer. And then, of course, he picked Eric Schmidt, who was, in another office so it was just a lot of appointments that were going on, and we're going to have another one. Now, this shows that the mechanisms of state government generally work, because you have to have that stability. You have to have that in place so people know that the government is not going to fall apart for the things that it is supposed to be doing. Now, I'm a conservative talk show host. I argue it's doing a whole lot of stuff it shouldn't be doing in the first place, but we know that the state is not going to collapse because somebody gets hired by the president. But now what's going to happen is, in just over an hour, the governor is going to tell us not only who's going to be the next attorney general, but what direction he sees the state government going, because this pick is going to be a big indicator of that, whether or not he picks more of an establishment Republican or if he picks a conservative firebrand. I don't know. A lot of rumors say former Speaker Catherine Hanaway is going to be the pick. I have no idea. That could be right. That could be wrong. I don't know. Other names have been tossed out. I think we've ruled out, because we talked to them today, both Tim Jones and Nick Schroer, they're not going to be the pick.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. But we'll find out. There are a couple of names that I thought of that I know the establishment would love, but I hope the governor does not pick, I'll just leave it at that. There's a couple names that I hope that he does not pick. And I think Governor Kehoe is tuned in enough to the conservative base. Do we like everything that he does? No. But has he been better on some things that we thought? Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. There's a lot of areas he's pleasantly surprised us, and there's a couple areas where he's really angered us. So I think he's tuned in to what the voter base wants. So we'll see how much that's reflected in just a little bit.
Now, my main concern is that if the federal government keeps picking all of our favorite politicians,
that's right.
You have to leave us a couple here. I mean, we do have so many great ones, but
you keep taking Missouri's firebrand conservatives. Eventually, the establishment's going to start backfilling those.
Yeah,
I mean that's you're right. That's a legitimate risk. Eric Schmidt, I'm really glad he's in the U.S. Senate and bringing that firebrand to the U.S. Senate. Josh Hawley is not the conservative firebrand anymore. He's more of a populist firebrand. He's basically the R version of Bernie Sanders on a lot of economic stuff. Has been really disappointing to see. Eric Schmidt, not so much. Eric Schmidt has been on message and on point, and I'm glad that he's there. Andrew Bailey, we know what he brings. We'll see what he's unleashed to do in DC. But in just about, just a little over an hour, the governor, rather, I'm almost certain is going to be live streaming this. So if you go to the governor's Facebook page, or you go to, the governor's website, I suspect that that's going to be live streamed there, or a lot of the news outlets out there. So if you want to see live and get the announcement at that moment, and we'll see who it is, let me know what you think. We'll be talking about it tomorrow morning, because that's going to be a big part of the direction of the future of the state of Missouri.
Well, it is definitely summer here in the heartland. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service for all of your commercial and residential tree care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let them come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk, plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner